Chapter 2309. The dark void was empty and silent for an unknown amount of time. Stifling, desolate, these were the main themes of the void. At this moment, Fang Chen was floating alone in the dark void. He did not know how much time had passed, nor did he know where he was going. The only thing he could do was to protect himself and not be harmed by the outside world. Where am I going? Fang Chen would often ask himself. He clearly remembered that he had been sucked into the last piece of 9-star golden dragon ore he had mined. After the 9-star golden dragon ore had shattered, it had turned into a 5-colored altar. If his guess was correct, it should be an ancient transportation array. He did not need to think to know that he had already left the illusory star heaven. But where he was going, and whether there would be danger, he had no idea. Time, to him, had already become very blurry. In the end, he closed his eyes and began to cultivate. Only when one was in a desperate situation would one realize how pitiful it was to be helpless. The current Fang Chen was like this. Although his cultivation base had reached the late stage of the Heaven Opening Realm, his combat strength was comparable to a peak stage Earth Opening Realm cultivator. However, in front of nature, he was powerless to fight back. One day, I will conquer this dark void, Fang Chen said to himself, clenching his fists. These days lasted for a very long time, so long that even he had forgotten the time. However, one day, the clouds finally parted and the moon could be seen. Dawn. His body suddenly staggered, and a great tremor occurred in the dark void. He had a feeling that the transportation array had ended, and he was about to leave this dark void. Is it ending? At this moment, Fang Chen had an indescribable feeling in his heart, and his expression was complicated. Catcher. Like the dawn of the night, a bright light crudely tore through the dark void, and Fang Chen's eyes were pierced. However, he quickly adapted to this light, and his pitch-black eyes stared at it. Catcher. Another crisp sound rang out, and the area of the dark void that was torn apart grew larger and larger. Fang Chen was very excited. No matter what, he had to leave this dark void first. Dawn. About 3 minutes later, Fang Chen felt his body tremble, as if he was weightless on a plane back on Earth. Then, his body swooped down like a cannonball, breaking through the cage of the dark void and smashing into the ground. Bang! Dust flew everywhere, and a huge crater appeared on the ground. Fang Chen felt pain all over his body, but his heart was filled with joy. What is this place? He forcefully endured the pain in his entire body and hurriedly crawled out of the large pit. He looked around and suddenly took a few deep breaths of air, and then his face revealed an expression of wild joy. He was finally certain that he had returned to the primal chaos void. However, one could imagine that this was not the void star heaven. An unfamiliar aura. There was an extremely unfamiliar aura in the air, which made him feel a little uneasy. The origin energy is so dense. Suddenly, Fang Chen's expression changed greatly. Then, his heart was filled with ecstasy and excitement. This was because he discovered that the origin energy contained in the air far surpassed that of the void star sky. At least 100 times, right? The origin energy was the most fundamental power of the primal chaos void, and also the power that martial artists relied on to survive. Absorbing the origin energy could continuously change a martial artist's body, and at the same time, it would make it easier for them to comprehend the martial Tao. The density of the origin energy was different in every place. Originally, Fang Chen thought that the origin energy in the void star sky was rich enough, but after sensing the origin energy in the surrounding air, his heart trembled. 100 times was a conservative estimate, or even more. What did this mean? This meant that with the same amount of cultivation time, the origin energy you absorbed was 100 times more than a martial artist in the void star sky. The more origin energy one had, the faster one's strength would improve. It seems that I have come to a place where the martial Tao is more prosperous. After a while, Fang Chen's ecstatic heart gradually calmed down. He gradually realized that this should be one of the 33 heavens, but he didn't know which day it was. It shouldn't be Mo Shotian. First of all, Fang Chen eliminated Mo Shotian. At best, Mo Shotian was only slightly stronger than the void star sky, and was far from being comparable to the heaven and earth he was in. Let's find someone to ask later. Fang Chen said. Coming to an unfamiliar environment, the first thing to do was to check the surrounding environment to see if there was any danger. Looking around, Fang Chen realized that he was in a valley. So oppressive. He didn't feel anything earlier, but after calming down, he suddenly felt that the air was filled with an oppressive aura. This made Fang Chen feel extremely uncomfortable. Hey! There's a skeleton in front. Looking up, he suddenly realized that there was a skeleton in the middle of the valley. There was an extremely dense oppressive aura around the skeleton. What is this valley? Fang Chen quickly walked over to the pile of bones and discovered a stone stele. There are words. Fang Chen carefully examined the words on the stone stele. After a long time, a smile appeared on his face. Xingchen Sky. Fang Chen's eyes widened as he cried out. How did he come to Xingchen Sky? In Fang Chen's memory, Xingchen Sky was the most prosperous region in the entire Chaos Void. There were strong and weak places everywhere. In Huaxia on Earth, there were strong and weak places in every province, let alone in a foreign world where the strong were respected. It was the same in the Chaos Void. Although it was divided into 33 heavens, there were also strong and weak ranks. Void Star Sky and Mo Shotian could only be considered as low-level regions in the 33 heavens. They were located at the edge of the Chaos Void, and in the eyes of the strong, they were barbarians. However, Mo Shotian was relatively stronger than Void Star Sky, but only by a little. Since ancient times, no matter how the 33 heavens changed, there were always 10 regions that remained the same. They were synonymous with strength, and Xingchen Sky was one of them. Among the 33 heavens of the primal Chaos Void, Stellar Heavens was ranked 10th. It was no exaggeration to say that the top 10 regions were the core of the Chaos Void. Any region could be compared to hundreds of Void Star Skies. These top 10 regions gathered countless peerless experts in the Chaos Void. Ranked 10th, Xingchen Sky? Fang Chen muttered to himself. He didn't expect that he would cross the Chaos Void and come to Xingchen Sky. With a sigh, he couldn't help but exclaim. What kind of expert could build such a heaven-defying teleportation array? Suppressing the shock in his heart, Fang Chen continued to look at the stone tablet. After reading the contents of the stone tablet word by word, Fang Chen sighed in his heart. This valley was called Shadow Moon Valley, and the skeleton in front of him was the Shadow Moon Saint. So it was built by Great Emperor Shu Xian. No wonder. Thinking about it carefully, only Great Emperor Shu Xian had such ability, right? Great Emperor Shu Xian's strength was considered a peerless expert in the entire Chaos Void. The Shadow Moon Saint was a servant under Great Emperor Shu Xian. When Great Emperor Shu Xian left home, he specially built this super long-distance teleportation array and ordered him to guard it. Who knew that time was merciless and gradually took away his life? Weapon Spirit, do you know about Shadow Moon Valley? Fang Chen communicated with the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail and asked. After a while, the Weapon Spirit said, Of course I know. Master, why are you here? The Weapon Spirit was surprised. After sleeping for a while, he didn't expect his master to come to Shadow Moon Valley. Wasn't it in Xingchen Sky? I'm near Demon's Island. Fang Chen told the Weapon Spirit the details of his mining of the 9-star Golden Dragon ore. The Weapon Spirit said slowly, No wonder the old master built a super long-distance teleportation array there so that he could leave Void Star Sky at any time. The distance between Void Star Sky and Xingchen Sky was too big. Even a peerless expert like Great Emperor Shu Xian couldn't fly there. He could only travel by teleportation array. Master, the Shadow Moon Saint is just a servant that the old master casually took in. He's in charge of guarding this super long-distance teleportation array, the Weapon Spirit said. How do I go back? Fang Chen asked. Chapter 23:10. Clearly, the artifact spirit's understanding of the stellar sky far exceeded Fang Chen's. He had only seen it in the Wuji Sword Sect's ancient records, and there was very little information about the stellar sky. He only knew that the stellar sky was one of the top 10 regions in the chaotic void. The old master once left behind a sect in the stellar sky. I don't know how it is now. Master, you can go to that sect to take a look. Perhaps there is something you need there, said the artifact spirit. Fang Chen nodded. The artifact spirit was right. Besides, even if he wanted to leave, could he leave? This kind of ultra-long-distance teleportation array across the chaotic void required frequent maintenance. Since the fall of Great Emperor Shu Xian, no one had used this ultra-long-distance teleportation array. With the passage of time, the energy within the ultra-long-distance teleportation array gradually disappeared. Fang Chen had accidentally triggered the ultra-long-distance teleportation formation, which was why he was teleported here. At this point, the ultra-long-distance teleportation array had stopped working. Its energy had been exhausted and it could no longer operate. How could it be easy to go back? Master, don't be too anxious. If you can get some energy gems, you still have a chance to go back. The artifact spirit said. Besides, how can the void star sky compare to the stellar sky? Master's journey is the sea of stars. The void star sky is not your stage. You will have the opportunity to come into contact with experts of a higher level here. Countless opportunities await you. Fang Chen also understood what the artifact spirit meant, but his wife and daughter were still in the void star sky. Master, you don't have to worry about that. The Wuji Sword sect has already become the overlord of Dongxian heaven. Furthermore, the Xinghe ancestor will secretly protect them. Nothing will happen to them, said the artifact spirit. As for the Qiu family in the Mosha heaven, when Master is strong enough, you can return home and destroy them directly. Fang Chen curled his lips. It was easy to say. With his current strength, when would he be able to grow to the point where he could destroy the Qiu family? However, people always had to have some thoughts. Otherwise, what motivation would there be on the martial path? Thinking of this, Fang Chen's heart gradually relaxed. Since he was here, it meant that this was the will of the heavens. That was the beginning of his martial arts journey. What is the name of the sect left behind by Great Emperor Shu Xian? Fang Chen asked. The Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. The artifact spirit said, the skeleton you see now is the ancestor of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Fang Chen was stunned for a moment and then sighed. Then, under the guidance of the artifact spirit, he left the Shadow Moon Valley. Shadow Moon Valley was located within the Shadow Moon Mountain Range. As for the Shadow Moon Mountain Range, it was one of the more famous forbidden areas in the innate realm. Recently, strange phenomena had appeared in the Shadow Moon Mountain Range. Everything indicated that a supreme treasure was about to appear. Everyone was very clear in their hearts that the supreme treasure in the Shadow Moon Mountain Range definitely came from the Shadow Moon Valley. Thinking of Shadow Moon Valley, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. That was the legendary burial ground where countless experts were buried. Outside the Shadow Moon Mountain Range, there was a wasteland. At this moment, there were many warriors standing on the wasteland. The auras emanating from these martial artists were all at the pure sky god level. Have the ancestors shown themselves? Haha, the heavens are protecting our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. It must be our ancestor guiding us. Several martial artists in purple robes had excited smiles on their faces. They were elders of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Their ancestor had fallen in the Shadow Moon Valley and they had always wanted to enter to find their ancestor's body. However, the Shadow Moon mountain range was full of danger. The sect members had entered countless times, but never returned. Including this time, many sect members in the Frisia district were watching, not daring to enter without permission. Seeing how excited the elders of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect were, the people from the surrounding sects had mocking expressions on their faces. Humph, why don't you look in the mirror? How far has your Shadow Moon Immortal Sect fallen? That's right, there isn't even an abstruse god in the sect. How dare you show up here? What a disgrace. Idiots of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, isn't your ancestor inside? Why don't you go in? Some of the sect members looked down on the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect and were mocking and even threatening them. Back in the day, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was famous in the Frisia district. Even in the Carnate world, it was one of the strongest sect. However, ever since the Shadow Moon Saint's death, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was short of manpower. In addition, they had made too many enemies back then and were attacked by a group. In the end, it was fortunate that the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect hadn't been destroyed. As a result, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect had fallen into dire straits. As a result, the once insufferably powerful sect couldn't hold its ground in the Frisia district. There wasn't even an abstruse god in the sect. An abstruse god was an existence above the primal chaos god. It was extremely mysterious and miraculous. At the level of an abstruse god, one could become a lord in the chaos void. In a barbaric place like the Void Star Sky, it was enough to establish a sect. The Void Star Sky was one of the top 10 regions in the chaos void. A sect without an abstruse god would be embarrassed to greet others. There were many small sects in the Frisia district that wanted to annex the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, but a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. After all, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect had some foundation. They'd been struggling at death's door. Recently, they'd gone crazy after seeing the phenomenon in the sky. They'd thought it was their ancestor guiding them. The opportunity for the Shadow Moon Immortal sect to rise had arrived. Unfortunately, when they'd arrived outside the Shadow Moon mountain range, they'd discovered that their strength wasn't enough to fight against the other sect. "You guys, go in and take a look." Suddenly, a fat cultivator with a big head and big ears walked up to the elders of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect and said in a deep voice, "Back when the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was strong, you were still hiding somewhere." Slap. The bloated cultivator slapped the Shadow Moon Immortal sect elder and sent him flying. "Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like this?" "Limo, don't go overboard," another Shadow Moon Immortal sect elder shouted angrily. "Do you want to die?" The bloated cultivator called Limo was an elder of the Violet Sky sect. He'd used his power to bully others and had once wanted to destroy the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Limo's actions infuriated the Shadow Moon Immortal sect elders. Their eyes widened as they exchanged glances with Limo. The crowd in the square watched their fight with interest. However, at this moment, a great tremor occurred in the Shadow Moon mountain range. The strange phenomenon in the sky suddenly disappeared. Immediately after, a figure strolled out of the Shadow Moon mountain range. With the help of the Dark Heaven All's tool spirit, Fang Chen walked out of the Shadow Moon mountain range as if he'd entered a no-man's land. However, when he came out, he was instantly stunned. Why were there so many people? Why were they all staring at him? Fang Chen's expression changed as he prepared to turn and return to the Shadow Moon mountain range. "Who are you, kid?" Suddenly, a deafening voice entered Fang Chen's ears. Immediately after, the bloated Li Mo instantly made his move. A violent attractive force directly sucked Fang Chen's body to his side. "Why are you in the Shadow Moon mountain range?" Faced with Li Mo's question, Fang Chen was stunned. "Li Mo, you've scared him silly. A little guy in the heaven-opening realm can actually walk out of the Shadow Moon mountain range? Could it be that this guy obtained the treasure in the Shadow Moon mountain range?" For a time, there were sounds of discussion in the wilderness. Among the people present, the weakest was at the Saint Realm, and there were even a few profound gods present. "All right, quiet down." A profound god in a Taoist robe walked to Fang Chen's side and said calmly, "Fellow Daoist, who are you? Why did you come out of the Shadow Moon mountain range?" Fang Chen woke up from his shock and shook his head. "I was cultivating when I was accidentally swept into the mountain range by the airwaves in the sky. I ran desperately and came here." "What did you get?" This was what everyone was most concerned about. Fang Chen shook his head, looking very confused. The profound god in a Taoist robe enveloped Fang Chen with his consciousness and carefully examined him. Then he shook his head. "He's too weak. He can't enter the Shadow Moon mountain range at all. He's not lying. He must have been cultivating nearby and was brought into the Shadow Moon mountain range by a strange phenomenon." With the two profound gods speaking, the others naturally did not dare to say anything. However, there were still people who did not give up, such as Li Mo of the Purple Sky sect. Whoosh! Li Mo's figure flashed and disappeared into the Shadow Moon mountain range. Chapter 23:11. The most frustrating thing in the world was to know that the treasure was right in front of you, but you could not get it. You might even lose your life because of it. Fang Chen's appearance made Li Mo and the others go crazy. Under Li Mo's lead, many powerhouses entered the Shadow Moon mountain range. However, After a few breaths, miserable screams were heard, and at the same time, battered and exhausted figures flew out from within. Their faces were filled with horror, as if they had seen the god of death. Damn it! The Shadow Moon mountain range is too dangerous. So many people died in the blink of an eye. The surviving warriors felt a lingering fear in their hearts. Fortunately, they had rushed to the rear, otherwise they might have died inside. Ah! At this time, an extremely miserable scream attracted everyone's attention. They turned to look and were shocked to find that the owner of the voice was the plump fatty Li Mo. At this moment, Li Mo's entire body was covered in blood. Both of his arms were broken, and his eyes were scarlet red. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. He had rushed to the front and was the most seriously injured. He almost could not make it back, so he simply used his trump card at the critical moment, and returned safely. It's too scary. Everyone's body trembled, and at the same time, they thought of Fang Chen. How could he come out safely? A sentence from the crowd instantly made Fang Chen the center of attention. Even the two profound gods were staring at him, which made Fang Chen's expression somewhat solemn. There's something wrong with this kid. Many people looked at Fang Chen with burning eyes. This kid can enter and leave the Shadow Moon mountain range at will. If we recruit him, won't we be able to get the treasure? For a moment, countless ideas were born in everyone's hearts. They looked at Fang Chen greedily, but the latter's heart was filled with helplessness. What should we do? Fang Chen secretly communicated with the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail. Master, don't worry, I'll disguise you. Then, the weapon spirit controlled the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail, and secretly disguised Fang Chen's body. Kid, how about joining the Purple Sky Sect? This was another elder of the Violet Sky Gate. He no longer cared about the injured Li Mo. My Yongyuan sect is very powerful. If you join us, I guarantee that you'll have a meteoric rise. Little guy, I see that you mainly cultivate the way of the sword. Why don't you join our Dongxian sword sect? Many sect members were trying to win over Fang Chen. They kept talking about how outstanding their sect was. Only a few elders of the Shadow Moon Celestial sect stood aside with gloomy expressions. It wasn't that they didn't want to fight for it, but with their Shadow Moon Immortal sect situation, it was impossible for them to succeed. Rather than humiliating himself, he might as well just give up. Facing the clamor, the two profound god exchanged glances with each other. Then, Xian Shen coughed and said, his meridians are all broken and there are cracks in the space in his body. His foundation is unstable. If we don't fix it, the space will collapse and he will die. That's right. The Shadow Moon mountain range trembled and a strange phenomenon fell from the sky. The aura was too strong and it must have been this force that destroyed his body. At this point, the other Xian Shen shook his head and sighed. For a pure sky god, the space in his body was very likely to collapse. This was an extremely painful thing. This also meant that this pure sky god had no potential and was destined to live a mediocre life. It was easy to get out, but difficult to get back in. As the two Xian Shen spoke, the expressions of many sect members changed. They looked at Fang Chen coldly and mockingly, without the previous enthusiasm. In their opinion, a piece of trash could never re-enter the Shadow Moon mountain range. A worthless martial artist was not worth mentioning in their eyes. Sigh. Everyone sighed softly, then turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, all the sect members had disappeared. This time, they had lost so many people in the Shadow Moon mountain range. They had to go back and discuss countermeasures. As for Fang Chen, they couldn't be bothered to deal with him. Before the two Xian Shen left, they glanced at Fang Chen and sighed regretfully. So what if he had monstrous potential? The power of the phenomenon had destroyed the space in his body and killed his future. There was no place for him in the Kanglan district. Fang Chen stood quietly on the ground, motionless. At this time, only the three elders of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect were left in the wilderness. They glanced at Fang Chen and said, "Is this kid provoked?" Anyone who fell from the sky to the 18th level of hell would not be able to accept it. They thought that Fang Chen would not be able to accept the fall. However, that was not the case. At this moment, Fang Chen was secretly delighted. What a good trick! Fang Chen could not help but sigh. What's this trick? I have followed great Emperor Shu Xian for my whole life. What a pity. The artifact spirit sighed. Why don't we take him away? The three elders of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect whispered. Although there are cracks in the space in this kid's body, there might be a way to fix it. Besides, he came from the Shadow Moon mountain range. Perhaps it has something to do with our ancestors. That's right. I think we need to save a lost lamb. As they spoke, the three of them walked up to Fang Chen. The purple-robed elder waved his hand in front of Fang Chen. Fang Chen's gaze fell on his face. Little brother, although you are injured, don't be discouraged. If the other sect doesn't want you, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect will. Fang Chen froze when he heard the words Shadow Moon Immortal sect. A faint smile flashed through his eyes. He hadn't expected to run into an elder of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect by chance. How powerful is the Shadow Moon Immortal sect? Fang Chen asked with a cupped fist salute. The three elders coughed softly and said, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect used to be one of the top forces in the innate world. Although it has weakened over the years, it is still one of the top forces in the small Kanglan district. Little friend, joining the Shadow Moon Immortal sect is the best choice. That's right. If you don't have any objections, follow us back to the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Fang Chen nodded. The three elders were secretly delighted. The Shadow Moon Immortal sect was in dire straits now and almost no disciples were willing to join them. The innate world was a huge area in the northern part of the Stardust Sky. This area was divided into many districts, and the Kanglan district was one of them. On the way, the three elders introduced the Kanglan district to Fang Chen. Although it was only a brief introduction, Fang Chen was extremely shocked in his heart. He hadn't expected the small Kanglan district to be as big as the East Profound Heaven. The entire innate world was much stronger than the Void Star Sky. The innate world was only one of the districts in the Stardust Sky. From this, it could be seen how powerful the Stardust Sky, one of the top 10 regions in the Chaos Void, was. The Shadow Moon mountain range wasn't too far from the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, so they arrived in an hour. The four of them stopped in front of a mountain peak covered in weeds. Is the Shadow Moon Immortal sect up there? Fang Chen asked. That's right. Don't underestimate this mountain. People call it the Immortal Mountain. On the way up the mountain, Fang Chen's heart was filled with doubts. The mountain didn't look like an immortal mountain at all. Instead, it looked more like a barren peak covered in weeds. After a while, the four of them arrived at the mountain peak. Fang Chen was dumbfounded. This is the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Fang Chen's eyes widened in disbelief. There were only a few buildings on the barren peak. These buildings were dilapidated and didn't look like a large sect at all. It was simply a dilapidated building that had been abandoned for a long time. Ahem, the purple-robed elder coughed a few times and said awkwardly, our Shadow Moon Immortal sect has been a little tight recently, so we sold the mountain in exchange for some cultivation resources. Little friend, a luxurious mountain is useless to us cultivators. Don't be bound by worldly thoughts. Cultivation resources are more important, the purple-robed elder said in a very heroic manner. However, in Fang Chen's heart, there were 100,000 alpacas galloping across it. How was this a little down? It was so down and out that it was almost disbanded. How could this be called a sect? Fang Chen felt like crying in his heart, but no tears would come out. Chapter 23:12. If he hadn't seen this scene with his own eyes, he would have been moved by the righteous words of these bastards. I'll submit to your grandpa. Fang Chen couldn't help but curse in his heart. After all, it was the sect left behind by the Shadow Moon Saint. It had once been one of the top forces in the innate world. Now it had fallen to such an extent. No wonder no sect took him in, but the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was so enthusiastic to take him in. So that was the case. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Little friend, I know you can't accept it for a while, but I believe that as long as you stay, you will definitely take a liking to our Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Fang Chen tried hard to calm his inner breath and asked, how many people are there in the Shadow Moon Immortal sect? Hearing this, The purple-robed elder chuckled and said, "Back then, our Shadow Moon Immortal sect." Seeing this old man talking, Fang Chen hurriedly stopped him. If he let him continue, who knew how long it would take? Get to the point. Now, there are a total of 19 people in our Shadow Moon Immortal sect. The purple-robed elder said, "Including you, there are 20 people." Hearing this, Fang Chen was completely dumbfounded. What kind of sect was this? Even the beggars outside had more people than your sect, okay? And you still claim to be the descendant of the Shadow Moon Saint. Are you worthy of the Shadow Moon Saint? If the Shadow Moon Saint had a spirit, he would have spat out a mouthful of blood when he saw you, right? However, now that things had come to this, what else could he do? In order to get what he wanted, he could only join the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Fang Chen's appearance attracted the attention of the people of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. When they saw Fang Chen, they were very excited, as if they hadn't seen a human for a long time. "Don't touch me." Seeing that someone was ecstatic and directly pounced on him, Fang Chen quickly dodged. "I'm not gay. Damn it, it's too scary." Fang Chen, this is the sect master of our Shadow Moon Immortal sect, Guru Purple Moon. The purple-robed elder introduced. On the way here, he knew Fang Chen's name. "How did you trick this guy?" Guru Purple Moon asked directly. Fang Chen's forehead darkened and he couldn't help but retort, "I wasn't deceived. I came to your Shadow Moon Immortal sect on my own accord." Sect Master, this fellow was cultivating nearby when he was swept into the Shadow Moon mountain range by the power of the heavens. His meridians were crippled and the space in his body is about to collapse. If it wasn't for that, it would have been snatched up by the other sect. After briefly explaining the sequence of events, Guru Purple Moon nodded slightly. There was no other way. If the Shadow Moon Immortal sect wanted to continue its legacy, it needed disciples. Without disciples, it would not be long before its legacy was cut off. As such, Fang Chen didn't care. At the very least, he was a heaven-opening realm cultivator, so he could be considered a person. "Fang Chen, from today onward, you'll be the third disciple of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect," Purple Moon said. Hearing this, Fang Chen couldn't help but have the urge to curse. "You mean before me, there were only 2 disciples?" Purple Moon nodded. "Before you, there were 19 people in the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. 2 disciples, 16 elders, and me." Fang Chen almost spat out a mouthful of blood, but he still held it in. "I want to be an elder," Fang Chen said directly. He was here to find energy gems. Being a disciple had too many restrictions, so he might as well be an elder. If possible, he could help the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. "Ari, who told them to have a relationship with Great Emperor Shu Xian?" "Fang Chen, although my Shadow Moon Immortal sect is declining, not just anyone can be an elder," Purple Moon said calmly. "Was this King declining? Was it about to be disbanded? Moreover, your meridians are all broken and the space in your body is unstable. There won't be any progress in the future, so..." Purple Moon explained patiently to Fang Chen. Fang Chen spread his hands and said, "No need to say any more. I think I'm qualified to be an elder." In fact, Fang Chen didn't want to do this at all, but the situation forced him to do so. "Fang Chen, listen to me," the purple-robed elder said anxiously. "You keep saying that my meridians are broken, but have you checked carefully? You said that the space in my body is unstable and is about to collapse. Have you checked?" He looked at everyone and said, "You didn't check carefully, and you said that I'm not qualified to be an elder." Purple Cloud was stunned by Fang Chen's words, then he used his divine sense to cover Fang Chen. After all, Purple Cloud was an expert at the pinnacle of the Absolute Saint stage. If he took the last step, he would be able to reach the profound God stage. Soon, he found that Fang Chen's meridians were intact, and the space in his body was not only stable, but also very vast. This, Guru Purple Moon was stunned. Who said his trash? How is that possible? The purple-robed elder and the others widened their eyes and looked at Fang Chen in disbelief. Was the judgment of the 2 profound gods wrong? What happened? The purple-robed elder asked Fang Chen. "It's a long story. Let's talk about me being an elder first." Fang Chen changed the topic. Fang Chen, it's a good thing that your meridians are not broken, but an elder. As soon as Guru Ziyu finished speaking, a loud bang was heard. Then, a figure flew out and let out a miserable cry. Am I qualified now? Fang Chen asked. Looking at the earth-opening realm elder who was sent flying, Guru Purple Moon froze on the spot. After a long time, he nodded heavily and was overjoyed. Ha ha, our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect has found a treasure. Then, he ordered, from today onward, Fang Chen will be an elder of our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Elder Fang, I didn't expect you to have such great potential. The sect master smiled. Fang Chen couldn't be bothered to argue with the sect master. He directly told him what he saw in the Shadow Moon Valley. What? You came out of the Shadow Moon Valley? At this moment, the sect master was completely shocked. His expression became extremely serious. I saw the bones of the Shadow Moon Saint, and I also obtained something that seems to be useful to your Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Fang Chen said. When Fang Chen took out a severed finger, everyone in the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect knelt on the ground. Ancestor above. Voices were heard one after another. It could be seen that they were all very pious. Everyone, rise. Fang Chen said. After the sect master got up, he looked at Fang Chen with a burning gaze. Their Shadow Moon Immortal Sect had an ancestral rule. Whoever could obtain the ancestral relic would become the next sect master of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. This severed finger was left behind by the Shadow Moon Saint for the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. They had already regarded Fang Chen as the young sect master. After putting away the severed finger, the sect master said, Elder Fang, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect will never forget your great kindness. Alright, see if there are any inheritances here. If there are, hurry up and cultivate and strengthen the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect as soon as possible. Fang Chen urged. Don't worry, with the guidance of the ancestor, our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect will definitely become stronger quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed since they arrived at the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. During this period, Fang Chen inquired about a lot of things about the Kanglan district. Fortunately, the forces in the Kanglan district weren't very strong. Although many of the major forces were luxurious, their foundation wasn't as strong as the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Fang Chen set his sights on these small sect. There were no energy gems in the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. If he wanted to obtain them, he had to get them from other sects. For the time being, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect didn't have the strength to fight against a sect with a profound god. Secretly take in the small sect and develop the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Fang Chen said. A month later, the sect master's face was filled with joy as he found Fang Chen. Elder Fang, we found the lost technique of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect in the ancestral relics you brought out. If I cultivate it, I have confidence to step into the profound god level. The sect master said with a smile. Hearing this, Fang Chen nodded. This was the most gratifying news he had heard in a while. If the sect master stepped into the profound god level, he would have the strength to expand the mountain range. At least he wouldn't have to worry about the harassment of other sects. Sect master, hurry up and cultivate the lost technique and step into the profound god level as soon as possible. Fang Chen said mysteriously, the Shadow Moon Saint gave you some guidance. Only when you step into the profound god level can the plan be implemented. Oh, Elder Fang, can you tell me in advance? The sect master was very curious. Chapter 23:13. During his days in the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, Fang Chen had also communicated with the mysterious Heaven All. Master, don't underestimate the foundation of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. The spirit said, at its peak, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was still very strong, but with the death of the Shadow Moon Saint, it continued to decline. Isn't this too much? Are you sure that the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect will have a chance to turn things around soon? Fang Chen asked. Master, the mountain gate of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect has been occupied by other sects. The world doesn't know their background at all. If you can take back the mountain gate, you may be able to obtain the energy treasure you want, the artifact spirit said. Moreover, through the conversation with the spirit, Fang Chen felt that the latter was very confident in the Shadow Moon Sect master. It seemed that the latter could really break through to the profound God level. 3 months later, a miracle happened. The Shadow Moon sect master, who had been stuck at the bottleneck for hundreds of years, actually broke through to the profound God level. This news shook the entire Shadow Moon Immortal sect. All the disciples and elders gathered in front of the main hall, excitedly waiting for the sect master to come out of seclusion. Creak. The door of the main hall opened, and the Shadow Moon sect master walked out with a face full of glory. Breakthrough? The faces of the purple-robed elder and the others were full of joy. Fang Chen could feel that the Shadow Moon sect master seemed to be very different from 3 months ago. There was an aura on his body that even Fang Chen was very afraid of. The inheritance of the Shadow Moon Saint is so powerful. The Shadow Moon sect master has the blood of the Shadow Moon Saint, so it is very compatible with the inheritance. Breaking through to the profound God level is nothing. The spirit said. Elder Fang, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, when would we be able to see the rise of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect? The sect master greeted everyone with a smile, and then walked to the front of Fang Chen. I wonder what the ancestors' guidance that Elder Fang mentioned before is? The others also looked at Fang Chen intently. Fang Chen chuckled, leaned close to the Shadow Moon sect master's ear, and said, "Annex a small sect, strengthen the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, and then take back the mountain gate." That's it. That's it. Fang Chen nodded, narrowing his eyes, looked at the Shadow Moon sect master's face. The latter's expression changed, then he gritted his teeth and said, "Since the ancestor said so, then we'll do it. However, this matter needs further consideration." The Shadow Moon Immortal sect, a simple meeting hall. Everyone from the Shadow Moon Immortal sect stood around a long wooden table. There was a map on the wooden table, with some complicated patterns drawn on it. There are a total of 81 forces in Kanglan district. There are 49 third-rate forces, 21 second-rate forces, and 11 first-rate forces. Shadow Moon sect master said, "Our current goal is 49 third-rate forces." Sect master, you can't be careless. The background of these third-rate forces is complicated. If you're not careful, you'll get yourself killed. The purple-robed elder reminded. Sect other forces might not care about such a small force, but to our Shadow Moon Immortal sect, it's very important. Revival was a long process that required patience. After some discussion, they decided to start with a small sect led by an earth-splitting realm cultivator. "Let me do it myself." Before Purple Moon could finish speaking, she was stopped by Fang Chen. "Sect master, let me deal with such a small force." After pondering for a moment, Guru Purple Moon nodded. The night was dark and the wind was strong. Fang Chen left the Shadow Moon Immortal sect alone. This was his own request. The target of this trip was the Amethyst Mountain, an extremely small force. The Mountain Lord of the Amethyst Mountain. His cultivation base is at the late stage of the Earth-opening realm. This was the information he had obtained from the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. 6 hours later, Fang Chen arrived at the Amethyst Mountain. Amethyst Mountain was brightly lit. Fang Chen used space-time collapse and silently arrived at the mountain peak. Too weak. Shaking his head, Fang Chen went straight to the Amethyst Mountain Master's room. In the room, the Amethyst Mountain's Mountain Master's plump body was lying on the bed. He was currently enjoying himself with a young lady. Beauty, at this moment, the Amethyst Mountain Master was completely defenseless. He was fully focused on the young lady. This fat pig can also become a Mountain Master? What the F***ck Fang Chen could not help but grumble. He had to immediately change the current situation. Or he could increase his cultivation base and leave Kanglan district. Fang Chen used spacetime collapse and silently arrived at the bedside. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed. The Amethyst Mountain Master on the bed suddenly sat up and pushed away the young lady in his embrace. Bang! The Purple Cloud Mountain Master punched out fiercely into the void. Instantly, Fang Chen's figure was forced out. "Who are you?" With a wave of his hand, the Amethyst Mountain Master put on his clothes and jumped to the ground, confronting Fang Chen. "Not bad, not bad." Fang Chen did not answer the Amethyst Mountain Master's question. Instead, he laughed. The young lady on the bed wanted to scream, but she realized that she could not make a sound. Her heart was filled with fear. How dare you ruin my plans? Go to hell. The aura around the Amethyst Mountain Master surged and gathered on his fist. He then punched towards Fang Chen. Dong. When the two fists collided, a deafening sound was heard. The Amethyst Mountain Master's body involuntarily took a few steps back. His pitch-black eyes glared at Fang Chen. Who exactly are you? I'm an elder of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. If you surrender obediently and lead the Amethyst Mountain to join the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, I can spare your life. Fang Chen said. Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Spare my life. The Amethyst Mountain Master laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke. Whoosh. He held the hidden star sword and quickly swung it. In the blink of an eye, 5 terrifying sword lights spread out and were all aimed at the Amethyst Mountain Master. Rumble. A deafening sound was heard. The commotion was too big and it alarmed the people of the Amethyst Mountain. Just as they rushed over, they suddenly saw the door open. The Amethyst Mountain's Mountain Master and Fang Chen walked out with smiles on their faces. Mountain Master, what happened? Everyone asked. Nothing much. I just had a spar with Elder Fang. The Amethyst Mountain Master smiled. You guys came at the right time. I have something to announce. Everyone looked at Fang Chen in confusion. Where did this elder come from? From today onwards, the Amethyst Mountain will join the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Mountain Master, why is that? Many people did not agree, but this was no longer Fang Chen's problem. He would let the Amethyst Mountain Master settle it himself. As for whether he would betray them, there was no need to worry. Fang Chen defeated the Amethyst Mountain Master with his absolute strength and forced him to swear a martial oath. A martial oath was a huge restriction to a martial artist. 3 days later, the Amethyst Mountain quietly joined the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Haha, as expected of Elder Fang, your moves are astonishing. Although the Amethyst Mountain was nothing, it was a good start. Elder Fang was able to defeat the Purple Cloud Mountain's Mountain Lord with his heaven-opening realm cultivation. Yeah, with Elder Fang in our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, how can we not rise? The elders chuckled as they spoke. After Fang Chen spoke a few words with the Amethyst Mountain Master, he returned to his residence. He sat cross-legged on the ground and opened his palm. A black pearl the size of a thumb was lying in his palm. Such a small faction actually has such a treasure. This pearl was called a soul pearl and it was similar to a soul stone. Fang Chen was worried about the lack of resources and he did not expect to obtain a soul pearl. He had already cultivated the innate soul reversal technique to the 3rd level and he could use this opportunity to improve it. Thinking of this, he closed his eyes and started to absorb the soul energy in the soul pearl. At the same time, in front of the Amethyst Mountain, 2 Earth-opening realm cultivators looked at the Amethyst Mountain with gloomy faces. Damn it, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was a step ahead of us. Could it be that the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect is also after the Soul Pearl? No matter what, I must obtain the Soul Pearl. If the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect obtains it, we will make them spit it out. But I heard that the Amethyst Mountain Master has broken through to the profound God realm. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. After speaking, the two disappeared into the darkness. The news of the Amethyst Mountain being taken over by the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect still spread. Chapter 23:14. After subduing Amethyst Mountain, Fang Chen's plan was gradually perfected. If he wanted the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect to rise, he could only use his wits instead of strength. Therefore, in the following days, the atmosphere in Kanglan district suddenly became foul and rumors were flying everywhere. All of these masterpieces came from Fang Chen. He disrupted the major sect and made them fight each other while the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect reaped the benefits. At first, this plan didn't work very well, but Fang Chen used a clever trick to instigate some of the weaker third-rate sect, causing the entire Kanglan district to fall into chaos. After half a year of chaos, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect gained a lot. They had secretly subdued 9 third-rate forces. Although these third-rate forces were no longer the same as before after the war, It was enough for the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. In just half a year, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect began to emerge among the third-rate factions. As for Guru Purple Moon, because she cultivated the inherited divine arts that were compatible with her bloodline, her strength was thriving. Although she had broken through to the profound god level not long ago, she could already compete with some old monsters. This also led to some third-rate factions not daring to go against the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. 3 years later, Guru Purple Moon broke through again, and the Shadow Moon Immortal sect became the strongest third-rate faction in the Kanglan district. At this time, there were only 21 second-rate factions and 11 first-rate factions standing in front of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Amethyst sect. Damn it, has the Shadow Moon Immortal sect gone crazy recently? They've expanded so much. The fat Limo said coldly. After 3 years, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was strong enough to threaten the Amethyst sect, which made Limo very angry. It said that the guy who was abandoned by everyone joined the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Did Guru Purple Moon get the treasure of the Shadow Moon Valley from him? Thinking of this, Limo's eyes flickered. Soon, Limo found the sect master of the Amethyst sect. He was also an profound god and was slightly stronger than Guru Purple Moon. Sect master, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect has developed too quickly. I suspect that they've gotten something, Limo said. I noticed it too. I'm about to visit Guru Purple Moon. The sect master nodded. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Fang Chen was doing well in the stellar heavens and the Shadow Moon Immortal School was also thriving. As for the Limitless Sword sect that was far away in the Void Star Heaven, it was a bit bitter. Ever since he learned that Fang Chen had disappeared, Jian Wuji had become silent. He couldn't accept this fact. He searched the entire Dongxian Heaven but couldn't find any trace of Fang Chen. In fact, he had even requested Ancestor Xing his help in finding Fang Chen. However, in the end, he had failed. This scene made Jian Wuji think that something had happened to Fang Chen. The development of the Wuji sword sect slowed down. Jian Wuji drank every day and didn't care about the matters of the Limitless Sword sect. However, he had a vague feeling that Fang Chen was not dead. He was still alive, but he had gone to a place where they could not find him. Black North Desert, Devil City. Little Mouse and the others were sitting cross-legged on a high mountain. Ha ha ha. This is really satisfying. That guy has been beaten into a pig's head by us, right? A heaven-opening realm guy dares to be arrogant in front of us. He's really courting death. Fang Chen's departure was a bit sudden. After that, the 5 of them had been cultivating in the Devil City. A few years later, their cultivation had reached the Unity Realm and their innate divine abilities had become even more tyrannical. Now that the 5 of them joined forces, they could fight against a heaven-opening realm martial artist. Although this was nothing, they believed that after they broke through to the heaven-opening realm, they would definitely be able to sweep away heaven-opening realm martial artists. Continue to work hard. One day, we will be able to enter the Demon God list, Little Mouse said. What's the Demon God list? If Boss was here, he would probably be at the top of the list, right? Xiao Huang curled his lips. Just as they were talking, a strange gust of wind suddenly blew over. Immediately after, Little Mouse's expression changed greatly. Someone is coming. Just as the Little Mouse's voice faded, a black figure suddenly appeared on the mountain peak in a faintly discernible manner. A sinister smile appeared on his face. Submit to me. The person opened his mouth and asked Little Mouse and the others to submit. Dream on. A single word of disagreement led to a fight. However, when it came to a real fight, Little Mouse and the others were filled with helplessness. You are Ran Mo? Little Mouse cried out involuntarily. Ran Mo was an expert ranked 100th on the Demon God list. He was extremely powerful. We have no enmity with you. Why are you attacking us? Xiao Huang asked with scarlet eyes. Your innate divine abilities are too outstanding. If I can obtain them, my strength will definitely increase greatly. It turned out that Ran Mo had long been eyeing Little Mouse and the others. Die. Ran Mo growled and stretched out his palm. With a fierce and domineering aura, it instantly enveloped the 5 of them, suppressing them below. You guys go first. Little Mouse's eyes were scarlet. His heart was filled with anger. He roared to the sky, and an extremely dense purple aura emanated from his body. When the purple aura gathered together, Little Mouse's body suddenly expanded. In the blink of an eye, Little Mouse's body expanded by more than 30 meters. His body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. Bang! He threw out a punch, creating a huge crater on the ground. Ranmo's body was pushed back by the impact. Ranmo, who had stabilized his body, showed a touch of excitement in his eyes. Great! The stronger their innate divine abilities were, the happier Ranmo was. Go! Little Mouse used the divine skill of the godly Mouse clan to stall Ranmo. Hearing Little Mouse's cry, Xiao Huang and the others hesitated for a moment, and then said, "Go quickly. Otherwise, everything Brother Mouse has done will be in vain. Go! Brother Mouse, if anything happens to you, we will avenge you even if we have to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames." Soon, Xiao Huang and the others quickly disappeared. Ranmo wanted to chase after them, but was stopped by Little Mouse. "You're courting death." Ranmo was completely enraged. He shouted in a low voice, and his body flashed. He displayed his absolute strength and fought with Little Mouse. After fleeing for a long time, Xiao Huang and the others heard an earth-shattering sound. They stopped in their tracks. Their faces showed a complicated expression, and they turned to look at the distant sky. They clenched their fists, and their hearts were filled with anger. There had never been a moment where they were so furious. "Brother Mouse!" Xiao Huang let out a miserable cry. Xiao Hai and Pangolin's eyes were scarlet. They almost rushed back to avenge Little Mouse. "Are you crazy? Ranmo is too strong. We are not his match for the time being. If we go back now, we will all die. Who will avenge Brother Mouse then?" At the critical moment, the old faker stopped the three impulsive people. "Let's go." The old faker's branches and leaves rolled up the three people and quickly disappeared. After a long time, Ranmo, who was in tatters, appeared. He sniffed and found the aura of Xiao Huang and the others. His eyes were filled with coldness. "Damned fellow, you want to escape from my grasp? Dream on." After saying that, Ranmo leaped and chased after them. The people of the Wuji sword sect did not know what happened in the demon city, and Fang Chen did not know either. Although he had telepathy with Little Mouse and the others, it was impossible for him to sense them through the distance. At this moment, Fang Chen was acting as the military advisor of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. He was leading the Shadow Moon Immortal sect to take advantage of the situation and rise. "I didn't expect our Shadow Moon Immortal sect to develop to this point in just 3 years." Purple Moon Sage was also in disbelief. Yes, all of this changed because of Elder Fang's arrival. The purple-robed elder said with a smile. As the Shadow Moon Immortal sect continued to rise, his status in the sect also rose steadily. All of this was because he had tricked Fang Chen into joining the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. "Elder Fang, what do you think of the current situation?" Purple Moon Sage asked. Fang Chen frowned and said, "The changes in the Shadow Moon Immortal sect in the past 3 years have been noticed by the second-rate forces. We have to slow down for the time being. Otherwise, it will lead to a fatal disaster." But what?" Purple Moon Sage asked. Although he was a profound immortal, he admired Fang Chen's mind from the bottom of his heart. "Before that, let's take back the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's former mountain gate." Fang Chen had always been thinking about the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's mountain gate. According to the mysterious Heaven Conenail spirit, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's mountain gate had a very deep foundation. There might be an energy treasure. To read a novel, please visit Chapter 2315. Warning TPHADER curlopt _ curlopt _ HTTP 200 alias and CURLOPT _ POSTQ Yotogumensini online 44. In 3 years, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect had gradually grown. After all, they were once strong, so they still had some foundation. However, only Venerable Purple Moon knew that all of this was because of the inheritance of their ancestor, the Shadow Moon Saint. His inheritance was compatible with the bloodline of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, so cultivation was twice the result with half the effort. After stepping into the profound God level, His strength had been steadily increasing, and at the same time, he had also intimidated many second-rate forces. Otherwise, with the strength of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, they would have been targeted long ago. Fang Chen's words stirred Reverend Purple Moon's emotions. If they could retake the sect and unravel the foundation hidden in it, he dared to bet that the Shadow Moon Immortal sect would become a first-rate force in less than 3 years. At that time, they would be able to stand firm in the entire Kanglan district. Thinking of this, Venerable Purple Moon's face showed an excited smile. This was an opportunity. The Shadow Moon Immortal sect had fallen to the point of no return, but Fang Chen had miraculously brought the Shadow Moon Immortal sect back from the cliff. Although Fang Chen was an elder and the young sect master of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, Venerable Purple Moon's attitude towards Fang Chen was very sincere. Fang Chen's decision could basically represent the entire Shadow Moon Immortal sect. That's right, it's time to retake the sect. Venerable Purple Moon nodded slightly. In the past 3 years, not only had the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's strength increased, but the number of disciples had also gradually increased. Many disciples could not join other sects, so they could only join the Shadow Moon Immortal sect in order to obtain some cultivation divine techniques. However, the strength of the Black Dragon sect is not to be underestimated. They have 2 profound gods, and they are on good terms with the Purple Sky sect. If we act rashly, we will be attacked by the 2 sects. Venerable Purple Moon pondered. The purple-robed elder and the others also nodded. The Black Dragon sect was considered very good among the second-rate forces, at least not much worse than the Purple Sky sect. Just as everyone was discussing, a disciple suddenly rushed in to report the news. Venerable Purple Moon's expression changed, and the purple-robed elder hurriedly asked, "Sect Master, what happened?" "Sect Master Violet Sky has brought Li Mo to visit the Shadow Moon Immortal sect." "Sky sect? I don't think they have any good intentions. They must have seen the sect, Purple Moon Immortal sect, the elder, sect. What do you plan?" Several elders asked. Sect. Was sect. Was sect. And sect. Guru Purple Moon pondered for a moment before saying, "Since an esteemed guest has arrived, if our Shadow Moon Immortal sect doesn't receive him, wouldn't we be laughed at by others?" After saying that, Lord Purple Moon's gaze landed on Fang Chen. She said, "Elder Fang, come with me." Seeing Guru Purple Moon's gaze, Fang Chen nodded slightly. The Purple Sky Sect Master and Li Mo sat in the armchairs. Sect Master, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was in dire straits back then, but it has developed to this point in just 3 years. "There must be something wrong," Li Mo said in a deep voice. "I suspect that they have obtained the legendary treasure of Shadow Moon Valley." The Violet Sky Sect Master nodded when he heard that. He looked outside with a deep gaze. The legend of Shadow Moon Valley had been passed down in Kanglan district for countless years. Ever since he became the Purple Sky Sect Master, this legend had been lingering in his ears. There's no smoke without fire. Although many people thought that the legend of Shadow Moon Valley was fake, the Purple Sky Sect Master thought it might be true. The ancestor of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, the Shadow Moon Saint, had most likely died there. The more he thought about it, the more curious he became. Just as he was about to speak, Venerable Purple Moon and Fang Chen came in. Ha, Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master, your presence brings light to Shadow Moon Immortal sect, Venerable Purple Moon said politely. After all, Venerable Purple Moon was now an abstruse god, so Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master's attitude was not cold. "You." The fat Li Mo beside Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master widened his eyes in anger when he saw Fang Chen. "Venerable Purple Moon, your Shadow Moon Immortal sect has improved by leaps and bounds in just 3 years. I'm very curious, what is the reason for such a change?" Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master's gaze swept over Fang Chen and then said softly. Venerable Purple Moon laughed and said meaningfully, "If I said that all of this is because of the peerless expert behind Elder Fang, would you believe me?" Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master's expression changed when he heard that. His pitch-black eyes stared at Fang Chen. At this moment, Li Mo cried out involuntarily. "What's wrong with you?" Li Mo clearly remembered that day when Fang Chen was sentenced to death by two abstruse gods. His meridians were all broken and cracks appeared in the space in his body. No sect was willing to take him in. How is this possible? Li Mo looked at Fang Chen in disbelief. The cripple from back then was now standing in front of him, perfectly fine. As if to increase his credibility, Venerable Purple Moon continued, "Otherwise, how do you think a heaven-opening realm martial artist with broken meridians and an unstable foundation in the space in his body could reach this step in 3 years? Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master was an abstruse god. At his level, his comprehension of the miniature universe had already reached another level. He knew better than anyone what it meant to have cracks in the space in his body. Impossible, absolutely impossible." Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master shook his head fiercely and said in a low voice, "Even an abstruse god cannot repair the space in a martial artist's body. The space in the body involved the most fundamental power of a martial artist. Even an expert at the abstruse god level could not repair it." Could it be? When he thought of that, the sect master's face changed drastically. A sliver of graveness appeared in his eyes as he looked at Fang Chen. If what Venerable Purple Moon said was true, then there must be a peerless expert behind Elder Fang that their sect master could not afford to offend. "Li Mo." Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master looked at Li Mo and said in a low voice, "Sect Master, I can confirm that this child's meridians were broken 3 years ago, and cracks appeared in the space in his body. At that time, there were 2 abstruse gods present," Li Mo said. Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master finally made a decision after some internal struggle. "Venerable Purple Moon, I'm here to congratulate your Shadow Moon Immortal sect on returning to a second-rate sect." Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master cupped his fists and said, "Now, I should return. See you again." With that, Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master brought Li Mo and quickly left the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. "Sect Master, are we giving up just like that?" Li Mo asked unwillingly. Bang! Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master gave Li Mo a head slap. "Do you want to kill Sect Master Purple Sky Sect?" An expert who surpassed the abstruse god level could destroy Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master with a single finger. Regardless of whether this matter was true or not, they could not easily provoke the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. "Let those old fellows probe," Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master said sinisterly. Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, Waiting Room. "Sect Master, do you think Sect Master Purple Sky Sect Master will believe it?" Fang Chen asked. Venerable Purple Moon was in a good mood and chuckled, "Whether he believes it or not, there will be doubts in his heart. He will definitely not dare to attack our Shadow Moon Immortal sect in a short period of time." Fang Chen nodded and did not say anything else. Venerable Purple Moon looked at Fang Chen's departing figure and said to herself, "You simply can't understand how terrifying an existence that surpasses the abstruse god level is." A few days later, Fang Chen and Venerable Purple Moon discussed a plan. Black Dragon sect had 2 abstruse god level experts. Venerable Purple Moon could deal with one of them, and Fang Chen would personally lure the other away. As for the purple-robed elder and the others, they would lead the Shadow Moon Immortal sect to attack Black Dragon sect. The most crucial part of this plan was Fang Chen. He was only a heaven-opening realm martial artist. It was very dangerous to lure away the abstruse god. If he was not careful, he would die. "Elder Fang, are you sure you can do it?" Venerable Purple Moon asked worriedly. "Don't worry, I already have a plan to deal with that abstruse god," Fang Chen said confidently. Of course, it was impossible to meet force with force. To deal with the abstruse god, one could only use their wits. However, the reason why Fang Chen dared to do this was because he had his own trump card. At the heaven-opening realm, he could use the mysterious heaven all once. If it was a critical moment of life and death, he could use the mysterious heaven all to save his life. "Elder Fang, you must be careful," Venerable Purple Moon said in a deep voice. This operation had a great impact on the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. If they succeeded, they would soar into the sky, but if they failed, they would fall into hell. To read the latest novel, please visit Chapter 2316. Black Dragon sect was a superior power among the second-rate powers. There were two profound gods in the sect. Profound gods were beyond the level of pure sky god. There were three levels of pure sky god. They were the heaven opening realm, the earth opening realm, and the absolute saint realm. These three realms represented the growth and operation of the space in the body. Eventually, it would be separated from the body and formed into many miniature universes. Within every miniature universe, a large number of life forms could be nurtured. The more experts there were in the miniature universe, the more it could change the fate of the miniature universe. It could also indirectly increase the power of the creator of the miniature universe. Of course, the operation of the miniature universe was not simple. Otherwise, there would be so many miniature universes in the chaos void with so many pure sky gods. In fact, that was not the case. Compared to the countless cultivators in the chaos void, there were not many miniature universes. If the creator of the miniature universe died or something went wrong in the operation of the miniature universe would be destroyed. Hun Tianxin was strong enough to protect himself in the chaos void. As long as they did not provoke profound gods, they could live a comfortable life. Those who could be called profound gods must be powerful. From these words, one could see the strength of a profound god expert. The profound god contained too much content, so there were a total of 6 levels to divide the experts at this level. The first realm was the mysterious sky realm. It could be understood from its literal meaning that the masters of this realm had just crossed over from the chaotic sky god realm. Their control of the miniature universe had already reached the point of perfection. In a certain region, they were the heavens. The second level was the profound chi realm. Compared to the profound heaven realm, this level completely merged the power in the body with the essence, spirit, and spirit. The third level was the profound star realm. Experts could swallow mountains and rivers and refine the sun, moon, and stars. Their power was unimaginable. So far, the strongest expert in the Kanglan district was a profound god at the profound star realm. Profound gods at the profound star realm were considered upper-middle level experts. Therefore, there was only one in the entire Kanglan district. As for profound chi realm experts, there were many in the first-rate powers. Some second-rate forces also had them, but they were relatively rare. Of the 2 profound god rankers of the Dragon Black sect, one was an ordinary profound heaven realm, and the other was at the limit of the profound heaven realm. He was only 1 step away from reaching the profound chi realm. Guru Purple Moon was able to fight against peak mystic heaven realm experts with her bloodline. The Black Dragon Gate was located in the northern part of Kanglan district. Late at night, the cold wind rustled. Under the dark night sky, Fang Chen stood silently on a towering tree. The tool spirit of the mysterious heaven cone nail was investigating the situation of the 2 profound gods in the Black Dragon sect for him. Soon enough, the mysterious heaven cone nail's tool spirit reacted and said, "Master, one of the 2 profound gods of the Black Dragon sect is cultivating in seclusion while the other is teaching the younger generation disciples." Fang Chen nodded. "Are you confident?" "Don't worry, Master. If I don't activate my power, killing a profound god is difficult. However, trapping him is extremely easy," the artifact spirit said with complete confidence. "If you don't use your power, it shouldn't count, right?" Fang Chen asked worriedly. "It doesn't count," the artifact spirit said. Fang Chen did not want to waste a chance to use the mysterious heaven cone nail because of this matter. He only had 1 chance at the opening heaven realm. If he wasted it, he could only wait for the opening earth realm to use it. This was his second life. If he could complete the plan without using it, of course he did not want to use it. "Master, a profound god left the Black Dragon sect." Suddenly, the artifact spirit said. "Oh." Fang Chen's expression changed slightly. He immediately said, "Keep an eye on him for me." Under the continuous report of the artifact spirit, Fang Chen found out that the profound god who left the Black Dragon sect was at the beginning stage of the profound heaven realm. He sneaked into a forest in the west of the Black Dragon sect. The artifact spirit said, "Oh, let's go and take a look." Fang Chen was somewhat puzzled. This was the Black Dragon sect's territory. Why would a profound god be sneaking around? As he walked, Fang Chen transmitted his voice to Guru Purple Moon. If he could quietly get rid of this profound god, then his chances of winning against the Black Dragon sect would be greater. With the help of the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail, he quietly arrived at the forest. Master, we can't go forward. Otherwise, we'll be discovered. After all, the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail was heavily injured. It was not like before. What did you find? Fang Chen hurriedly asked. Hey! This profound god is talking to a black-robed martial artist. The artifact spirit said, strange, that black-robed martial artist is only at the opening heaven realm. Why would the profound god be so respectful to Han Tianshan? The power behind the Black Dragon sect? Fang Chen's pupils shrank, and his face revealed a sinister expression. Deep in the forest. Hey San, how is it? The black-robed martial artist asked in a deep voice. Young master, I've already turned the mountain gate of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect upside down, but I didn't find anything. The profound god called Hey San said in a low voice, could it be a mistake? The Shadow Moon Immortal sect has no foundation at all. The black-robed martial artist frowned, glanced at Hey San unhappily, and said in a deep voice, when the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was strong, you still don't know where you were. You know, this is a task given by the higher-ups. It's been so many years, you're really a waste. Hey San hurriedly explained, young master, don't worry, I will definitely complete the task given by the higher-ups. Try to be faster. If you can't, you can capture Purple Moon Master. The black-robed martial artist said, special times require special treatment. Yes, young master. After a short exchange, the black-robed martial artist quietly left. After a long while, Hey San was also ready to return to the Black Dragon sect. However, at this moment, his body trembled slightly, and then his brows furrowed. What's going on? As a profound god, his sense of touch was very sensitive. In an instant, he felt that there was an aura approaching. Who? Hey San said in a deep voice. In the darkness, a figure appeared out of thin air. Venerable Purple Moon. Seeing this, Hey San's pitch-black eyes emitted a cold light. He just said that he wanted to capture Purple Moon Master, did not expect this guy to deliver himself to the door. Hey San, how is my Shadow Moon Immortal sect's mountain gate? Purple Moon Master asked. Do you want to die? Hey San said coldly. Today, I'm here to take back the mountain gate. If you know what's good for you, quickly get out of here. Purple Moon Master said. Boom. Hey San was furious, and attacked like thunder. A deafening sound resounded through the sky. The two profound gods fought together in an instant. The surrounding towering trees were constantly exploding, and the space collapsed. Nearby, Fang Chen was quite shocked. Fortunately, there was the spirit of the mysterious Sky Cone Nail, which sealed the space here. Otherwise, such a big movement would inevitably alarm the Black Dragon sect. Is this method reliable? Fang Chen asked. Master, you can rest assured, although I can't shrink the binding space, but sealing a profound god of the mysterious sky realm is enough. The spirit said. With the strength of Purple Moon Master, in this sealed space, he should be able to kill him. The battle lasted for a long time, during which the sound of explosion was endless. Boom. After the fierce battle, Hey San finally could not resist the attack of Purple Moon Master, and his body was blown away with a bang. A trace of blood escaped from the corner of his mouth, and his face was extremely gloomy. How is it possible? The outside world said that Purple Moon Master had just stepped into the mysterious sky realm, but after the battle, he found that was not the case at all. Purple Moon Master's strength was comparable to the Black Dragon sect's master. Sect Master. At this time, Hey San's heart was a trace of horror, and he transmitted his voice to the sect master. However, he was shocked to find that the space here was sealed, and the transmission was cut off. No wonder, the battle was so big, why didn't the sect master come? Thinking of this, Hey San's face was full of helplessness. Hey San, your time of death has come. Purple Moon Master took a step forward, came in front of Hey San, and launched an amazing attack. Go! Hey San did not think and fled directly. Boom, just as he fled a distance, he felt his body was hit hard, and he was bounced back. There is a strong person secretly helping Purple Moon Master. He San's heart was frightened, and his heart was burning with anxiety. To be able to seal the mysterious sky realm, it was not something that ordinary people could arrange. To read the latest novel, please visit Chapter 2317. Seeing that He San wanted to break through, Fang Chen was a little worried. Once He San broke through, the consequences would be unimaginable. Especially if the sect master who was at the peak of the mysterious heaven realm was alerted, the plan would be ruined. However, the weapon spirit was very calm and said that there was no problem with the seal he had set up. Are you sure? Fang Chen was still worried. Master, don't worry, there is no problem at all. Seeing that the weapon spirit was so calm, Fang Chen also gradually relaxed. Sure enough, no matter how hard He San tried, he could not break through the seal. This caused Fang Chen to sigh endlessly. This kind of sealing technique was too shocking. Even if his array reached the heaven opening level, it would not be able to trap the mysterious god. Looks like I have to study more about arrays. Fang Chen said to himself. Half an hour later, the sealed space shook. Fang Chen looked up and found that He San was dead. Purple Moon Guru put his hands on He San's body and was absorbing the energy in his body. What is this? Fang Chen walked towards Purple Moon Guru in confusion. Every Saint Realm martial artist, when taking the last step, can separate the universe from the body and form a miniature universe. However, there are some people who, in order to pursue strength, will destroy the universe in their body and absorb all the energy. Purple Moon Guru explained. He San is like that. Although he is dead, the remaining energy in his body is very beneficial to me. While speaking, Purple Moon Guru absorbed all the energy in He San's body. Elder Fang, your method of sealing space is really amazing. Purple Moon Guru could not help but praise. She was busy fighting just now, and now that she had calmed down, she felt that Elder Fang was unfathomable. How is it? If I were to use the same sealing method to seal Sect Master Long He, would you be able to kill him? Fang Chen asked. Purple Moon Guru pondered and said, Sect Master He Long's strength is similar to mine. It is too difficult to kill him. But what? Fang Chen asked. Actually, we don't have to kill him. Wouldn't it be better if we can make him submit? Guru Purple Moon said. However, this was also a difficult problem. Fang Chen's eyes flickered as he secretly communicated with the artifact spirit and said, I have an idea that we can try. Hearing this, Guru Purple Moon's eyes lit up, and she said excitedly, then let's take action directly. Late at night, darkness shrouded the land. The interior of Long He Gate was brightly lit, and many patrol teams were walking around. Fang Chen and Purple Moon quietly arrived at the Black Dragon Gate, and then found the place where the Black Dragon Gate Master was in seclusion. Seal it. Fang Chen murmured to himself. Instantly, the weapon spirit sealed off the area. Then, Guru Purple Moon went inside. After a short while, there was a rumbling sound coming from inside. Fang Chen stood there quietly, waiting for an opportunity. After a long while, Purple Moon sent a sound transmission to Fang Chen, telling him that the time was ripe. Crash. When he entered the secret chamber, he was greeted with a scene of utter chaos. The entire secret room was already in ruins. If it wasn't for the sealing method, the battle fluctuations here would have destroyed the Black Dragon Gate. Black Dragon Gate Master. Fang Chen said. Who are you? Black Dragon Gate Master's face darkened as he said in a deep voice. This is Elder Fang of my Shadow Moon Immortal sect, and also the creator of this sealing method. A mere elder of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect couldn't enter the eyes of Black Dragon Gate Master, but the creator of the sealing method attracted the latter's attention. You set up the sealing method? Black Dragon Gate Master couldn't believe it. The other party was clearly a heaven-opening realm martial artist. Yes, you can think of it that way. Fang Chen said with a smile, how about it? How about joining my Shadow Moon Immortal sect? Fang Chen said straightforwardly. Black Dragon Gate Master cursed, dream on, although Purple Moon's cultivation is the same as mine, she can't do anything to me. All of this was within Fang Chen's expectations. Black Dragon Gate Master, I'm afraid you still don't know that Heisan colluded with an external force to snatch your Black Dragon Gate, right? Fang Chen sneered. You're talking nonsense. Just now, Sect Master and I saw it with our own eyes. He secretly reported something to a black-robed martial artist in the Western Forest. Fang Chen said. He didn't need Black Dragon Gate Master to believe him, he just needed to disturb his mind. Impossible. Black Dragon Gate Master's heart was in chaos as he thought to himself. At this time, Fang Chen continued, Black Dragon Gate Master, how about we make a bet? Ian, you and I fight. If I win, we will leave immediately. If you lose, how about joining the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect? Fang Chen said. HMPH, you want to win against me? Ridiculous. If it was any other time, a chaotic sky god would have slapped him to death if he dared to say such words to him. But now, Black Dragon Gate Master didn't dare to act rashly. He had also tried the power of the sealing method. It wasn't something an ordinary person could do. He couldn't see through Fang Chen. You don't dare to agree. Fang Chen spread out his hands and said, you can't defeat Purple Moon Guru either. There's no point in continuing to fight. Why don't you have a good fight? Moreover, if you join the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, your status will be very high, and you will be able to obtain the foundation of the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Black Dragon Gate Master's eyes flickered. The reason why he occupied the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was because of the legendary foundation. But for many years, he couldn't find it. He once thought that the legend was a lie. But now that Fang Chen said this, a wave really rose in his heart. Could it be that there is really a foundation in this sect? Black Dragon Gate Master said to himself. He raised his head to look at Fang Chen and said in a deep voice, okay, I agree to your challenge, but I want to change one thing. If you lose, you will stay in Black Dragon Gate forever. How about it? No problem. Elder Fang, Purple Moon Guru said worriedly. But after seeing Fang Chen's confident expression, Purple Moon Guru didn't say anything else. Boom. The aura of the peak of the profound heaven realm gushed out violently, instantly squeezing Fang Chen's body. I'd like to see what you have to fight with me. As soon as his voice fell, Black Dragon Gate Master took a step forward and rushed towards Fang Chen. However, after a breath's time, Black Dragon Gate Master's eyes were filled with fear, and he retreated step by step. How is this possible? Sect Master Long Hei exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, there was a heart-palpitating power in the secret room, hovering above Fang Chen's head. That kind of power seemed to have existed since ancient times. Too strong. Even Guru Purple Moon, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but tremble. Even a profound star realm expert couldn't have such an aura. Could it be that there's really a peerless expert beyond the profound god realm behind him? Patriarch Long Hei was completely dumbfounded by this powerful force. In his heart, he did not have the slightest intention to fight. Too strong, so strong that it made people despair. Boom. Fang Chen took a step forward, directly approaching Black Dragon Gate Master. The violent aura suppressed Black Dragon Gate Master to the point that he couldn't move, and he looked at Fang Chen in fear. Stop. Fang Chen didn't move and continued to move forward. Stop, I admit defeat. Black Dragon Gate Master shouted. At this moment, he couldn't care about his face anymore, saving his life first. Swear the martial Dao oath. Fang Chen's cold voice exploded in Black Dragon Gate Master's mind. Black Dragon Gate Master didn't even think and directly swore the martial Dao oath. I, Black Dragon Gate Master, will join the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect and never betray you. After the martial Dao oath, the terrifying aura above Fang Chen's head instantly dissipated, and the secret room returned to normal. Black Dragon Gate Master panted heavily, and his forehead was full of sweat. From now on, you're my Shadow Moon Immortal Sect's Black Dragon Gate Master. Fang Chen said with a smile. Purple Moon Guru also extended her hand and said, Elder Black Dragon Gate Master. Black Dragon Gate Master's face was pale, and his heart was still throbbing. Fortunately, it's Black Dragon Gate Master. If it was someone with a firm mind, I'm afraid they would fight me at all costs. At that time, I'll be exposed. Fang Chen said secretly. Actually, the terrifying aura just now was released by the profound sky cone nail to deliberately scare Black Dragon Gate Master. He didn't expect that it would actually succeed. No matter what, this mission was completed perfectly. Not only did he take back the sect, but he also incorporated Black Dragon Gate Master. Chapter 23:18. A few days later, everyone from the Shadow Moon Immortal sect moved into the old site of the Black Dragon sect, which was where the Shadow Moon Immortal sect used to be located. Guru Purple Moon stood beside Sect Master Black Dragon sect, who had a dark expression on his face. He dared not betray Purple Moon Immortal sect due to his martial oath. It took a few days for the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's members to settle down. With Black Dragon Gate Master and Purple Moon Guru, two peak mysterious heaven realm experts, as well as a mysterious peerless expert supporting them from behind, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect became one of the top sects among the second-rate sects. When the Purple Sky sect heard the news, they quickly sent their elders to congratulate the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. This made Sect Master Purple Sky even more certain that there was a peerless expert behind Fang Chen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take in the Black Dragon sect so quietly. Nor would the proud Sect Master Black Dragon sect be willing to join the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. He immediately ordered everyone in the Purple Sky sect not to do anything to the Shadow Moon Immortal sect in the future. The Shadow Moon Immortal sect that had caused waves in the Kanglan district was gradually on the right track. At night, Fang Chen, Guru Purple Moon, and Sect Master Black Dragon sect quietly arrived at the back mountain. Sect Master, it's up to you now, said Fang Chen. Guru Purple Moon's eyes flickered and his face was full of excitement. Buzz. He waved his hand and the blood in his body spurted out. Complicated seals appeared in the sky. When these seals gathered together, they actually turned into a purple moon. Guru Purple Moon stomped his foot and jumped onto the purple moon. The purple moon emitted a gentle light that enveloped his body. Creak. The purple moon shrouded Guru Purple Moon and a strange light shone on the back mountain. A moment later, a strange door appeared in the back mountain. Whoosh. Guru Purple Moon jumped down from the purple moon and said with joy, "Let's go in." With that, the three of them entered the door. Where is this? This is the bottom of the back mountain, where the foundation of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect lies, said Guru Purple Moon proudly. Fang Chen looked around and nodded slightly. He was not surprised that the Shadow Moon Immortal sect had such a foundation. After all, it was once the overlord of the innate world. Ha ha ha. The happiest person was none other than Sect Master Long Hei. Many of the resources were things that he yearned for even in his dreams. If he could obtain it, breaking through to the profound Qi realm wouldn't be a problem. Elder Long Hei, I promised you that I would give you a certain amount of resources. You can choose any of the items here, Lady Purple Moon said. Then this old man won't be polite. After saying that, the Black Dragon Gate's gate master directly rushed into a pool and jumped in with a plop sound. Elder Fang, Purple Moon said. Fang Chen's gaze fell on a book. This is the 3,000 Scrolls of Array Dao? Fang Chen walked to the bookshelf and picked up the yellowed book to read it carefully. As soon as he flipped to the first page, a paragraph came into view. This old man has spent his entire life studying the Dao of Array Dao. However, in the end, I still couldn't win against the heavens. Although I died, I have no regrets. From this short sentence, one could tell that the author of this book was a peerless expert who was obsessed with the Dao of Array Dao. The 3,000 Scrolls of Array Dao is the result of this old man's lifelong research. Within it, there are 3,000 types of Array Dao that this old man created. Each Array Dao is completely different and used different methods to create them. If one can fully comprehend the 3,000 Scrolls of Array Dao, one's Array Dao cultivation will definitely reach the peak of the Heaven Ascension grade, and even have hopes of breaking through to the legendary Chaos grade. Reading the last line of small words, Fang Chen's heart trembled. Peak of the Heaven Ascension grade? As everyone knew, the grades of Array Dao were the same as weapons. Above the Heaven Ascension grade was the Heaven Opening grade, and above that was the Heaven Ascension grade. If one could cultivate the Array Dao to the peak of the Heaven Ascension grade, then one could casually set up an Array Dao to kill a profound god. At that time, one could turn the world upside down and do anything. And this expert said that after mastering the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao, there was hope of breaking through to the legendary Chaos grade. Chaos grade. Fang Chen couldn't help but be excited. Sect Master, can you let me read this book for a while? Fang Chen asked. Of course, no problem. Esteemed Purple Moon said, this book was obtained by our ancestor, the Shadow Moon Saint, from a peerless expert. Back then, our ancestor also said that the Array Tao recorded in this book is invincible. Fang Chen nodded and then looked around. He found that there were no energy gems to activate the super long-distance teleportation array. Although I didn't get what I wanted, this 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao is precious enough. After the Shadow Moon Immortal sect regained their sect, they officially announced their strong return. During this period, many weaker second-rate factions sent martial artists to test them, but they were all scared away by the Shadow Moon Immortal sect's strength. In the end, there was even a sect that attacked the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. However, in front of two peak profound Heaven Realm experts, all attacks were useless. In the end, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect relied on a resounding battle to intimidate many second-rate factions. Even first-rate factions didn't dare to act rashly. News of the peerless expert behind the Shadow Moon Immortal sect that surpassed the profound god level spread throughout the Kanglan district in an instant. For a time, many sect members watched and didn't dare to make a move. Therefore, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was able to keep its peace. After completely unearthing the sect's foundation, Elder Long Hei and esteemed Purple Moon's strength increased by leaps and bounds. Both of them were breaking through to the profound Qi realm. Many of the elders in the sect had also received some cultivation resources. The entire Shadow Moon Immortal sect was thriving day by day. On a mountain top, Fang Chen sat cross-legged with the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao in his hands. He was carefully studying them. Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array. He was looking at the first array of the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao. Although it was a simple fire elemental array, it was more profound than any array he had ever seen. It's too profound. At first glance, it looked very ordinary. But after looking at it a few times, it felt more and more unfathomable. Fang Chen's face was full of excitement as he plunged into the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao. The Tao of Array Tao was as vast as smoke. Fang Chen's potential in the Tao of Array Tao was very impressive. His Array Tao had also reached the supreme grade Ingress realm. Buzz. After reading the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao, he was enlightened. 7 days later, he had completely comprehended the Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array. Half a month later, he was already trying to set up the Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array. Rumble. During this time, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect was often surrounded by flames. Many disciples were burned by the sea of fire, their clothes tattered. The reason for all this was that Fang Chen had made a mistake while practicing the Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array, causing many to be injured by accident. However, the situation took a turn for the better after a month. Condense. On the mountain top, Fang Chen suddenly opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, 108 flames instantly shot out and disappeared into the void. As he shouted this word, the flames in the sky suddenly soared into the sky, forming a cage of flames. This is the real Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array. Looking at the array in the sky, Fang Chen grinned. In his mind, the aura of Array Tao filled the air. His cultivation level increased naturally. Although he had reached the Ingress realm, Fang Chen was not excited at all. He was deeply infatuated with the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao. The Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array was only the weakest array among the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao, but it could erupt with such power. The Tao of Array Tao is too profound. With a thought, he put away the Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array. It will definitely be difficult to comprehend the 3,000 scrolls of Array Tao at the beginning, but the study of the Fire Demon Sky Shattering Array has allowed me to vaguely grasp some techniques, Fang Chen said to himself. He was not satisfied with the current situation and wanted to improve. Just like that, Fang Chen directly went into seclusion. Time passed, and some of the sects that were secretly watching the Shadow Moon Immortal sect finally could not hold back and wanted to spy on the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. On this day, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect welcomed a challenge from a sect. Purple Moon Guru, the disciples of our two sects can learn from each other. Not only can we enhance our friendship, but we can also improve our cultivation. Why not? The head of the Hansan sect said with a smile. Oh, how does Hansan sect master want to spar? Do you even need to say it? Let the Ingress Realm and Ingress Realm martial artists spar with each other. As for the Saint Realm, forget it, Hansan sect master said. In a second-rate sect, a Saint Realm martial artist could already be considered an elder. Whether it was strength or status, they were very high and were not suitable for a spar. Chapter 23:19. Immersed in the sea of Array Dao, 3 months had passed unknowingly. From the beginning, it was easy to understand, but later on, it was difficult to understand. Fortunately, Fang Chen's potential in Array Dao was extremely strong. Although it was difficult to understand, it was easy to understand if he analyzed it one by one. 3 months later, Fang Chen had comprehended 37 arrays. His Array Dao realm had officially stepped into the middle stage of the Heaven Opening realm. Now, he could casually set up a medium-grade Heaven Opening formation. Almost no one under the Absolute Saint realm could break through his formation. Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, he stopped comprehending and put the 3,000 scrolls into his spatial ring. A faint smile appeared on Fang Chen's face. During this period of comprehension, he felt that his essence, energy, and spirit had changed. Now, even if I meet an extreme Earth Opening Realm martial artist, I have nothing to fear, Fang Chen said to himself. With the help of the Heaven Opening Array, no one under the Saint Realm could defeat him. Walking down from the mountain, he leisurely walked into the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. A martial artist hurriedly ran over and said, "Elder Fang, the Cold Mountain Sect has come to visit and wants to exchange pointers with our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect's disciples. The sect master asked me to invite you over. In fact, Guru Purple Moon only wanted her disciple to give it a try. She didn't expect Fang Chen to really come out of seclusion." After arriving at the square, Guru Purple Moon directly called Fang Chen to sit on the rostrum. Seeing this, the Cold Mountain Sect master frowned slightly. Bang! The battle below had already ended. The Shadow Moon Immortal Sect disciple was sent flying. The Cold Mountain Sect disciple won. The Cold Mountain Sect master's brows relaxed and he laughed. "Guru Purple Moon, my Cold Mountain Sect disciple won this round. What do you think?" Guru Purple Moon nodded and didn't say anything. In the following period of time, one battle after another was carried out continuously. Overall, the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect disciple was slightly inferior. When the battle reached noon, Fang Chen yawned and said, "Boring." Although his voice was soft, it was still heard by the master of the Han Mountain Sect. He sneered, "Looks like the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect has really fallen. A Heaven Opening Realm cultivator can sit on the rostrum as he pleases, and even speak as he pleases." Guru Purple Moon said with some dissatisfaction, "This is my Shadow Moon Immortal Sect's elder, Fang Chen." "A Heaven Opening elder?" Sect Master Hansan widened his eyes and mocked, "Esteemed Purple Moon, is there no one else in your Shadow Moon Immortal Sect? They actually made a Heaven Opening Realm martial artist an elder? Ha ha ha." Fang Chen was also somewhat displeased by the Hansan Sect master's mockery. Just as Black Dragon Gate's master was about to stand up and speak, he was stopped by Fang Chen. "What? Looking down on the Heaven Opening stage? Do you believe that if I make a move, I can defeat everyone below the Absolute Saint realm in your Hansan Sect?" Fang Chen said coldly. "HMPH, arrogant words. With your strength, any disciple of my Hansan Sect can kill you." The Hansan Sect master sneered. Fang Chen shook his head, "Forget it, there's nothing to say to someone like you." The more he acted like this, the angrier the Hansan Sect master was. "Brat, do you want to die?" The head of the Hansan Sect stood up abruptly, his dark eyes fixed on Fang Chen. "Enough, Hansan Sect master. He is an elder of my Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. I hope you can maintain your rationality," Esteemed Purple Moon said in a deep voice. The Hansan Sect master's expression changed. He glanced at Esteemed Purple Moon and then at Elder Black Dragon Gate. In the end, he calmed down. However, his sarcastic mockery of Fang Chen made the latter quite unhappy. Esteemed Purple Moon, you're not honest. The Han sect master said, are you afraid that Elder Fang will be killed in the sparring, so you promoted him to an elder and avoided this sparring? We agreed that all warriors below the Absolute Saint realm from both sides would participate in the sparring, the Han sect master said sourly. Esteemed Purple Moon's face darkened, and she was very unhappy. However, at this moment, Fang Chen stood up. Han sect master, do you really want me to participate in the sparring? Fang Chen asked. If you're afraid of death, you don't have to participate. After all, you're an elder, and I can't do anything to you, the Han sect master said. Hearing this, Fang Chen nodded, stepped out, and came to the martial arts arena. He turned to the Han sect master and said, since you want me to participate, I'll show you. Then, Fang Chen waved his hand and said, anyone below the Absolute Saint realm of the Han sect can come up and fight. His voice was full of arrogance and dominance. Immediately, many disciples of the Han sect master were enraged. Even the Han sect master's eyes flashed with a cold light. On the rostrum, esteemed Purple Moon was relatively calm. Sect Master Long Hei sneered in his heart, mocking the Han sect master's ignorance. Too arrogant. A heaven-opening realm. Let me deal with him. As soon as the Han sect disciples stepped on the martial arts arena, they were kicked away by Fang Chen. Trash. Fang Chen's voice spread mercilessly, and the Han sect disciples were even more furious. Trash like you can't beat me even if you join forces. You're courting death. Bang. 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 Almost none of the Han sect disciples could resist Fang Chen's kick. After a while, Fang Chen defeated all the heaven-opening realm disciples of the Han sect and sent them flying with one blow. This scene made the Han sect master blow his beard and glare, and he wanted to do it himself. Trash. The Han sect master cursed secretly. Are all the Han sect disciples like this? If that's the case, then it's too disappointing. Fang Chen shook his head and said disdainfully, boy, do you know what you're talking about? An earth-opening realm martial artist in the Han sect area said. I know. You Han sect disciples are all cowards who don't dare to fight on the stage. Fang Chen spread his hands and said. Do all the disciples of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect like to talk? Sorry, I'm not a disciple of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. I'm an elder. Fang Chen said. His momentum was strong, and his words were unforgiving. He was very vicious. For a moment, the Han sect disciples were furious. Finally, the earth-opening realm martial artist attacked. Die! The earth-opening realm martial artist's figure flashed, and he dodged Fang Chen's kick. He was secretly happy. Let's see how you block it. However, just as he stabilized his body, he felt a terrifying force hit his stomach, and his body couldn't help but fly backward. Bang! With a loud sound, dust flew. What? He sent an earth-opening realm martial artist flying with one punch. How is this possible? Damn it, what's the background of this family? In an instant, the Han sect area became restless. Many of the earth-opening realm martial artists who were about to make a move stopped in their tracks, not daring to act rashly. On the rostrum, Guru Purple Moon asked with a smile, Han sect master, how is Elder Fang? The Han sect master's face turned pale, and he clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, Fang Chen spoke again. All of you, attack together. Otherwise, you won't have any chance. Damn it, how dare you insult our Han sect? Attack together and kill him, brat, you'll know the consequences of being arrogant in a moment. More than 30 earth-opening realm martial artists of the Han sect stepped onto the stage together, surrounding Fang Chen. Just a clown. There's nothing to be afraid of. Fang Chen smiled. Kill. A terrifying aura spread out. More than 30 earth-opening realm martial artists attacked together. Even a saint wouldn't dare to take it head-on. You're dead. The Han sect disciples gritted their teeth and said. Boom. When their attacks landed on Fang Chen, they suddenly found that there was nothing around them. What's going on? A formation. We're trapped in a formation. Some people recognized the formation, but they couldn't break it. Boom! The Han sect disciples attacked the formation madly, but it was useless. They couldn't break it at all. With Fang Chen's attainments in formations, it was impossible to break a middle-grade heaven-opening realm formation unless a saint came personally. Bang! Fang Chen kicked the disciples one by one, sending them flying. In the blink of an eye, more than 30 disciples were kicked out of the formation by Fang Chen. On the rostrum. When the formation covered the stage, the Han sect master sneered. So what if it's a formation? In front of absolute strength, everything is nothing. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw several figures flying out from the crowd. His face was ashen, and he was speechless for a moment. At this moment, Reverend Purple Moon burst into laughter. Then, she said, "That's right. Before absolute strength, everything else is like floating clouds." For the latest novel updates, please visit Chapter 2320. The formation collapsed. Fang Chen stood on the martial arts stage with his hands behind his back, looking down at the Han sect disciples. "Who else?" Fang Chen said calmly, his words full of dominance. A heaven-opening realm martial artist had defeated more than 30 earth-opening realm martial artists. Just this achievement alone was enough to make all the first-rate forces fight to rope him in. Han sect master, what do you think of this competition? Guru Purple Moon stood up and said with a smile. Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, not bad. After saying that, the head of the Han sect hurriedly left with many disciples. Everyone's eyes fell on Fang Chen. Elder Fang, you've broken through? Guru Purple Moon walked over with a smile. Fang Chen had only obtained the 3,000 scrolls of formations for 3 months, and his attainments in formations had reached such a level. He was indeed a legendary genius. Admirable. Even sect master Long Hei admired Fang Chen from the bottom of his heart. Han sect's momentum was high, but they left dejectedly. The Shadow Moon Immortal Sect disciples were very happy and excited. They admired Fang Chen very much. In a forest in the west of Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, Han sect master rushed into the forest and came in front of the black-robed martial artist. Young master, Shadow Moon Immortal Sect has a deep foundation. It's no longer the destitute sect it used to be. Han sect master said in a deep voice, and I suspect that the rumors outside are true. Hearing this, the young master opened his dark eyes and looked into the distance. You mean, there's really a peerless expert beyond the profound god realm behind Shadow Moon Immortal Sect? That Elder Fang is only at the heaven-opening realm, but his strength is comparable to a saint realm expert. I won't believe it even if you beat me to death, Han sect master said. A cold smile appeared in the black-robed martial artist's eyes. He grinned and said, there's actually such an incredible thing in the small Kanglan district. It's getting more and more interesting. The Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, which I originally didn't care about, has grown to such an extent that it may even destroy my plan. At this point, a cold killing intent flashed in the black-robed cultivator's eyes. He clenched his fists, and the aura around him shook. He said coldly, no matter who it is, I'll kill whoever wants to ruin my plan. Young master, what should we do next? Asked the master of the Han sect. For the time being, we won't make a move. After I've thoroughly investigated the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect, we'll eliminate them together, said the young master. Yes, young master. No one knew that a mysterious young master had already controlled most of the second-rate forces in the Kanglan district. Even the first-rate forces had some connections with him. Undercurrents were surging in the entire Kanglan district. The Shadow Moon Immortal Sect was at the heart of the struggle, and the slightest carelessness would cause them to be consigned to eternal damnation. On this day, Fang Chen was cultivating on the top of a mountain when a black shadow flashed through the clouds. But soon, the shadow returned. He stopped in the void and looked down at Fang Chen. After a long time, a smile appeared on his face. 3,000 scrolls of Array Dao? The old man recognized the 3,000 scrolls of formation path at a glance and was immediately overjoyed. If I'm not wrong, this child has already comprehended more than 30 formations in the 3,000 scrolls of formation path. The old man continued, It's not easy for a heaven-opening realm cultivator to have such achievements in formation path. In the eyes of array masters, the 3,000 scrolls of formation path were very important. It was a springboard to a higher level. After watching Fang Chen comprehend the array formation briefly, a thought popped into the old man's mind. Whoosh! With a thought, he landed on the top of the mountain and stared at Fang Chen. Who are you? When Fang Chen saw the old man, he was shocked and hurriedly asked. He had set up a formation around him. If anyone approached, he would definitely be alarmed, but this old man could actually penetrate the formation and enter. How can your lousy formation trap me? The old man said disdainfully. I see that your potential in formation path is not bad, so I want to take you as my disciple. What do you think? Senior, if this junior becomes your disciple, are you willing to send this junior out of Star Sky? Fang Chen asked. The old man shook his head and said, if you want to leave Star Sky, you have to surpass the profound God realm. Only then can you rely on your own strength to cross the primal chaos void. Otherwise, you can only rely on an ultra-long distance teleportation array. I can't build an ultra-long distance teleportation array, so I can't send you out, the old man said. Senior, you are a profound star realm expert, yet you can't leave Star Sky? Fang Chen said with some regret. The old man sneered, what do you know? It's not difficult to leave Star Sky. The difficult part is crossing the primal chaos void. Star Sky is located in the west of the primal chaos void. There are strong spatial storms nearby. Even a profound star realm cultivator would be annihilated in a single encounter. There were strong and weak spatial storms. The weak could only trap cosmos gods, while the strong could annihilate profound gods. Star Sky was located in a special location. There were strong spatial storms around it, and it was located in the center of the storm. Thus, if one wanted to leave, they had to use ultra-long distance teleportation. Under normal circumstances, ultra-long distance teleportation was in the hands of experts. A mere profound god couldn't get a chance at all. Brat, even though I can't take you out, my attainments in the Tao of arrays far surpass yours. Be my disciple, and I can guide you. The old man tempted. Seeing that Fang Chen was indifferent, the old man used his trump card. Brat, I'll bet with you. If you can last a breath in my array, you win. The old man said, if you win, I can promise you one thing unconditionally. If you lose, how about being my disciple? Hearing this, Fang Chen's eyes turned, and he nodded in agreement. Let's begin. The old man waved his hand. Immediately, an overwhelming aura spread out. A terrifying array trapped Fang Chen within. Sky-soaring grade array? In an instant, Fang Chen recognized the grade of the array. He felt his breathing become hurried, and his body was squeezed. He couldn't hold on at all. Weapon spirit. Fang Chen roared in his heart. Suddenly, a clear stream flowed through his heart, greatly reducing the pressure on him. Master, don't worry. Even though it's a sky-soaring grade array, a breath will pass very quickly. In the blink of an eye, time was up. At this time, Fang Chen still stood there without a change in his expression. Hey! The old man was shocked. He thought that there was a mistake in his array. He checked again, and there was no mistake. What kind of monster is this guy? After the old man removed the array, he was somewhat helpless. I lost. Senior, you lost. Will you promise me one thing unconditionally? Fang Chen asked with a smile. In fact, he used a trick. If it wasn't for the mysterious Heaven Cone Nail's weapon spirit, how could he resist the sky-soaring grade array? Say it. The old man said with displeasure. I hope Senior can protect the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect for 100 years. Fang Chen said with a fist salute. 100 years is nothing to Senior. Senior, just treat it as cultivating here. Of course, we won't disturb you if there's nothing. Hearing this, the old man thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. I admit defeat this time. I agree to your request. But I want to know, how did you resist my array? The old man asked. My bloodline is special. Fang Chen made up a random story. From the conversation with the old man, he learned that the old man was called Jin Yuanzi, a sky-soaring grade array master. Fang Chen was overjoyed. With Zheng Yuanzi protecting the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, no force in the Kanglan district could touch it. He could leave the Kanglan district in peace and look for energy gems. Fang Chen did not tell Purple Moon esteemed master about this. Zheng Yuanzi secretly set up a sky-soaring grade array to envelop the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Fang Chen bid farewell to Purple Moon esteemed master and left the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. Now that he had nothing to worry about, Fang Chen prepared to head west. However, at this moment, a piece of news that shook the entire Kanglan district spread. The entire Kanglan district was shaken. All the celestial beings fell into a state of madness. In the sky above the Kanglan district, a floating castle suddenly appeared. All the martial artists' eyes were burning. Heavens, the legend is true. Is the floating castle the legendary Kanglan castle? When the castle appears, the world will fall into chaos. Countless years ago, there was such a legend in the Kanglan district. Whenever there was an era of geniuses, a floating castle would appear. Every time a floating castle appeared, it heralded the arrival of a golden age. A large number of prodigies would soar to the sky. For the latest novel update, please visit Chapter 2321. Fang Chen also received the news. He could see every corner of the huge floating castle in the Fanglan district clearly. All the martial artists were shocked to the core. They stared at the floating castle with their mouths agape. At the same time, they recounted the legends of the floating castle. The floating castle was actually called Kanglan Castle. In ancient times, there had been a peerless powerhouse called Reverend Kanglan. His strength was so strong that it made people feel intimidated at first glance. Sovereign Kanglan had once unified the Kanglan district and was born in the Kanglan district. After his death, Kanglan Castle appeared in the Kanglan district. Many believed that Reverend Kanglan had left it behind for his descendants. Some said that there was a demon in Kanglan Castle. Once it was opened, it would bring disaster to the world. Every time Kanglan Castle appeared, a large number of geniuses would enter. At the same time, many cultivators would die in the castle. As time passed, Kanglan Castle became a slaughterhouse. However, there were still countless cultivators who went crazy over it. After all, there had once been a powerhouse who had soared after leaving Kanglan Castle. He'd even been valued by some sect in the Carnate world. From this, one could see the importance of Kanglan Castle. In a city in the Kanglan district. Kanglan Castle? Fang Chen's eyes flickered with a curious light. With Zheng Yuanzi's protection, the Shadow Moon Immortal sect didn't fear any faction in the Kanglan district. As for himself, he'd just decided to leave to search for opportunities and breakthroughs. He hadn't expected Kanglan Castle to appear at such a time. Have you heard? The appearance of Kanglan Castle has shocked countless Hun Tianshan in the Kanglan district. It's said that the peerless geniuses of the Kanglan district have already left. Of course. Who in the Kanglan district doesn't know? There's a restriction on Kanglan Castle that only Hun Tianshan can enter. Every sect's Saint Realm powerhouses are already preparing. My cousin is a guard in the Immortal Sword Villa. He told me a secret. A skinny martialist said mysteriously. Immediately, the people around him gathered around him. Brother Lan, what's the secret? Hurry up and share it with us. I didn't expect Brother Lan's form to be in the Immortal Sword Villa. I hope Brother Lan can take care of me in the future. Brother Lan, this table of food and wine is my filial piety to you. Lan, who'd been treated so well just by being a guard in the Immortal Sword Villa, was enough to see how powerful the villa was in the Kanglan district. There were a total of 11 first-rate forces in Kanglan district, and each of them was extremely powerful. Even the Shadow Moon Immortal sect, with Formation Yuanzi in charge, didn't dare challenge a first-rate faction. The Immortal Sword Villa was the leader of the first-rate forces. Hearing that Brother Lan was working as a guard in the Immortal Sword Villa, everyone was envious and tried to curry favor with Brother Lan. My cousin told me that the 5 tigers of Kanglan are also going to enter Kanglan Castle. Brother Lan said mysteriously. What? Hearing that, the crowd couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Great waves surged in their hearts. Heavens, if the 5 tigers of Kanglan come out, who can fight them? Yeah, I've heard about the 5 tigers of Kanglen when I was very young. Fang Chen, who was sitting by the window, was also curious. He'd only been in the stellar sky for a short time. His understanding of the Kanglen district was based on the books of the Shadow Moon Immortal sect. He didn't know who the 5 tigers of Kanglen were. He listened carefully and soon learned the details of the 5 tigers of Kanglen. So they're just 5 old guys who can't break through to the profound God realm. Fang Chen pursed his lips. The 5 tigers of Kanglen were recognized as the strongest in the Kanglen district. They were said to be the strongest because they'd been severely injured in an operation millions of years ago. Their internal spaces had been severely damaged. But what was shocking was that everyone thought the 5 tigers of Kanglen would die. But no one expected that after disappearing for tens of thousands of years, the 5 tigers of Kanglen didn't die. Instead, they'd become extremely powerful. In the years that followed, they became stronger and stronger. When the 5 of them worked together, they could fight profound gods in the profound heaven realm. They swept through the Kanglen district and were invincible among the pure sky gods. However, as time passed, some of the powerful profound goddess were still able to see some clues. The injuries they'd suffered back then had caused changes to their internal spaces. The reason they didn't die was that they'd given up the chance to separate their internal spaces from their bodies. Instead, they'd let their internal spaces take root in their bodies. That was why their cultivation had been stuck at the pure sky god level ever since. The name of the 5 tigers of Kanglen gradually spread. Countless martial artists would think of their past achievements when they mentioned the 5 tigers of Kanglen. They weren't bragging about being invincible among the pure sky gods. Because they couldn't break through in their lifetime, they'd devoted themselves to improving their own strength. This way, they'd gained a deeper understanding of martial Tao and became more proficient in cultivating divine skills. They were all in the absolute saint realm, but their strength was far beyond ordinary absolute saints. However, the 5 tigers of Kanglen were unwilling to give up. They thought there had to be a way to break through the vast chaos void. In the end, they'd retired from the underworld and traveled all over the innate world in search of treasures to break through. They'd never thought that the 5 tigers of Kanglen, who'd disappeared for so long, would reappear because of the Kanglen castle. However, today, the various sects no longer fear the 5 tigers of Kanglen. Although they're strong, there are also many absolute saint realm experts from the other factions. For example, young Master Immortal Sword from Immortal Sword Villa, where my cousin is from, defeated Hun Tianxian with his sword alone. His reputation has already surpassed the 5 tigers of Kanglen, the guy called Brother Lan said with a smile. Everyone nodded in agreement. Only Fang Chen shook his head slightly. This guy was just a heaven-opening realm martial artist. He didn't know anything. He'd only heard about it from others. However, just as Fang Chen was about to leave, he heard an interesting piece of news. My cousin told me that Sir Immortal Sword's target is Sword Wood, Brother Lan said in a low voice. Sword Wood. At this moment, everyone was completely stunned. Brother Lan, is there Sword Wood in the Kanglen castle? I'm not too sure. My cousin told me this, Brother Lan said. Fang Chen frowned slightly. He turned to look at Brother Lan and thought for a moment. Then, he walked to Brother Lan's side. Did you just say Sword Wood? Fang Chen asked. Brother Lan was a little unhappy when he saw this. He stared at Fang Chen from the corner of his eyes. Many martial artists around also looked at Fang Chen covetously. What? Does what I say have anything to do with you? I want to know everything about Sword Wood, Fang Chen said. Sorry, I don't know you. Then, Brother Lan turned his head and ignored Fang Chen. I don't want to repeat myself. Fang Chen's voice was very heavy. When Brother Lan reacted, he'd already left the restaurant and appeared in the wilderness. Brother Lan looked at Fang Chen in horror and said, What do you want? Tell me everything you know about Sword Wood. Fang Chen looked straight at Brother Lan. Brother Lan's body trembled. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Senior, please spare me. I don't know anything about the Sword Wood. I was just bragging in the restaurant to get some wine. Oh. So, your cousin is also fake in the Immortal Sword Villa? The birth of the 5 tigers of Kanglen is also fake? Fang Chen looked at Brother Lan mockingly. Brother Lan shook his head desperately and said, "No, no, my cousin is really in the Immortal Sword Villa. He's not a guard like I said, but a handyman. I don't know if the 5 tigers of Kanglan have been born. I only heard my cousin vaguely mention it." "You made up the news about Sword Wood?" "Yes, no. Brother Lan looked at Fang Chen in horror and stuttered. Fang Chen grabbed Brother Lan's neck and said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what's going on? Senior, please spare my life." I'll tell you. Not long ago, when I passed by a remote alley, I vaguely heard 2 men in black talking about Sword Wood and Kanglan Castle. So, I connected the 2 together." Chapter 23-22. Perhaps it's just a coincidence, Fang Chen thought. However, he was still curious about Kanglan Castle. If he could enter it, he might be able to break through. With his current cultivation, he could beat up an earthly realm warrior. If he could enter the earthly realm, it wouldn't be a problem for him to challenge an absolute saint realm warrior. In the courtyard, Fang Chen was cultivating when suddenly, Brother Lan walked in cautiously. Fang Chen stopped cultivating and opened his eyes to look at Brother Lan. He whispered, "Boss, this is the information you wanted." Brother Lan handed a small booklet to Fang Chen, who nodded in satisfaction. He then took out some origin stones and said, "This is your errand fee." "Thank you, boss." Brother Lan took the origin stones with a smile. "Boss, if you have any other requests, just tell me. I have some connections in Lianglong City. Help me find out about the 5 tigers of Kanglan and the time and location of Kanglan Castle," Fang Chen said. "Yes." After Brother Lan left, Fang Chen opened the booklet and saw the absolute saint realm warriors of each sect. The warriors who entered Kanglan Castle this time were all chaotic god realm warriors. Therefore, the ones who posed the greatest threat to Fang Chen were the absolute saint realm warriors. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. The saint ranking was a list of the absolute saint realm warriors in Kanglan district. The top 5 were the legendary 5 tigers of Kanglan. Seeing this, Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect the 5 tigers of Kanglan to still be in the top 5 after disappearing for so many years. From this, one could see how powerful the 5 tigers of Kanglan were back then. The saint ranking basically included all the absolute saint realm warriors in Kanglan district. From this list, one could see the enemies one had to face. The corners of Fang Chen's mouth curled into a smile after he read the saint ranking carefully. On the saint ranking, other than the 5 tigers of Kanglan, the rest of the absolute saint realm experts were basically martial artists from the 11 first-class sect. Of course, there was also a small number of independent martial artists. As for the second-rate sect, there were very few absolute saints who could make it onto the list. It seems that I still underestimated the strength of a first-rate force. Fang Chen muttered to himself. According to the combat strength standards of the saint rankings, even the swordmaster might not be able to make it onto the rankings. Even if he did, he would be ranked at the bottom. This was the Stellar Sky, one of the top 10 regions in the Primal Chaos Void. The Kanglan district was just an ordinary district in the Heavenly Star Innate Realm, but there were already so many experts here. This trip to Kanglan Castle is going to be interesting. Fang Chen chuckled and said to himself. Although the Kanglan Castle had appeared, it was still spinning and didn't stop. All the warriors were watching Kanglan Castle. They were waiting for him to stop so that they could enter immediately. Lianglong City, where Fang Chen lived, was a bustling city in Kanglan district. Recently, there was an endless stream of people coming and going. Many warriors from outside the city came to Lianglong City to inquire about the news. On this day, Fang Chen was walking on the streets. He was going to take a look at the market. Lianglong City's market was very famous in the surrounding area. There was an unwritten rule in the market. As long as one stepped into the market, they had to follow the rules of the market. No one was allowed to fight in the market. Otherwise, they would be severely punished. This was a method that Lianglong City used to protect the market. Therefore, many treasures that couldn't be seen by others appeared in the market. Soon, Fang Chen arrived at the entrance of the market. There were many warriors gathered here. They were all warriors who weren't qualified to enter the market. If one wanted to enter the market, they had to be at least in the heaven-opening realm or be extremely wealthy. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to enter the market. Fang Chen revealed his aura slightly and was directly allowed to enter the market. On the left and right sides of the market, there were sounds of hawking. Fang Chen looked around. Hey! Suddenly, Fang Chen felt the Shura sword chi in his body vibrate. What's going on? Something that could cause the Shura sword chi to vibrate must be related to the Shura sword Dao. Fang Chen followed the directions and soon arrived in front of an inconspicuous stall. This stall was very simple. There were only 2 broken sword parts. From the outside, these 2 broken sword parts looked very ordinary. The stall owner sat lazily in front of the stall, resting with his eyes closed. Fang Chen played with the 2 broken sword parts with interest. At this time, the stall owner opened his eyes. Selling these 2 broken sword parts as a package. 1 million mid-grade origin stones. Hearing this, Fang Chen pursed his lips. This stall owner was too ruthless. He actually asked for 1 million mid-grade origin stones in one go. Even Han Tianxian wouldn't have an easy time taking out 1 million mid-grade origin stones. You dare to ask for 1 million mid-grade origin stones for such ordinary 2 broken sword parts? Fang Chen asked calmly. What do you know? These 2 broken sword parts came from Kanglan Castle, the stall owner said mysteriously. Hey! Fang Chen's expression changed slightly. He continued to ask, since it came from Kanglan Castle, why are you selling it? The stall owner spread his hands and said, I want to study it myself, but others won't allow it. Just as the stall owner was speaking, a burly man suddenly walked over from afar and stopped in front of the stall. Kid, my young master has taken a fancy to these 2 broken sword parts. The burly man warned Fang Chen. His body emitted a sinister aura. He snatched the broken sword from Fang Chen's hand and threw it on the stall. Old man, are you planning to hide in the market forever? The burly man said in a deep voice, do you think my young master can't do anything to you if you hide here? The stall owner was a little anxious, but he didn't dare to say anything. He just turned a blind eye. Fortunately, he was in the market. Otherwise, he would have been killed by his enemies. Glancing at the burly man, Fang Chen picked up the 2 broken sword parts again and said with a smile, I'm interested in this broken sword. Unfortunately, your price is too high. I can't satisfy you. Kid, are you tired of living? The burly man rebuked angrily. You know that my young master has taken a fancy to this item, but you still want to buy it. Are you courting death? Since your young master has taken a fancy to it, why don't you buy it yourself? Is your young master's name written on this broken sword? Fang Chen retorted. If we weren't in the market, I would have killed you with one punch. After saying that, the burly man warned Fang Chen and turned to leave. Fang Chen sneered and didn't care at all. He played with the broken sword and said, Uncle, can you sell this broken sword to me for a cheaper price? The stall owner was a little hesitant. Fang Chen transmitted his voice, I can take you out of the market and leave Lianglong City secretly. I guarantee that we won't be discovered by our enemies. Really? When the stall owner heard this, a hint of joy flashed in his eyes. However, he quickly regained his composure. He didn't dare to joke about his life. In the end, the stall owner reached an agreement with Fang Chen. After paying a certain price, Fang Chen got the 2 broken sword parts. At the same time, he also promised to take the stall owner out of Lianglong City safely. After that, Fang Chen casually strolled around the market for a while. Oh my god, isn't that Fairy Yuhua of Yumanlu? Why would she come to the market? I've long heard of Fairy Yuhua's beauty. Today, I see that she really lives up to her reputation. Hearing the discussions of many martial artists around, Fang Chen's gaze also fell on Fairy Yuhua. The latter's appearance was indeed beautiful. She was comparable to his wife, the star and moon. However, Fang Chen sensed a unique aura from Fairy Yuhua's body. Seemingly aware that someone was spying on her, Fairy Yuhua gently turned her head. A faint smile appeared on her pretty face. She glanced at Fang Chen, then turned and left. Even an expert on the saint list has appeared in Lianglong City. Fang Chen said to himself. After that, Fang Chen strolled around the market until evening, when he found the stall owner. Don't resist. After speaking, Fang Chen grabbed the stall owner and used the spacetime collapse technique to quickly disappear from the market. Huh! The burly man who had been staring at Fang Chen had a golden light flashing in his eyes. He immediately transmitted his voice to the young master. Keep a close eye on him. I have never failed to get what I want. After saying that, the young master dressed in black quickly rushed out of the city. Chapter 23:23. On a dark and windy night, Fang Chen's figure flickered as he sped through the wasteland outside Lianglong City. Behind him, he could clearly sense several powerful auras. However, he did not care. With his attainments in the spacetime Dao and the 11th level of the spacetime collapse art, even experts on the saint ranking would not be able to catch up to him. Sure enough, after a short while, Fang Chen shook off his pursuers and arrived at an old forest deep in the mountains. Bang! He placed the stall owner on the ground and said, I've already shaken them off. You can leave now. Brother, many thanks. After saying that, the stall owner turned and left, disappearing into the darkness. Fang Chen turned his head and looked behind him, a trace of mockery in his eyes. Outside Lianglong City, in a vast wasteland, darkness shrouded the wasteland, making it impossible to see one's fingers. However, this was nothing to God Hun Tien. His divine consciousness was able to sense everything. What's going on? The burly man looked around but could not find any trace of Fang Chen. After a long time, he said dispiritedly, I lost him. Hoo. Several sounds came from the distance. Soon, a black-robed cultivator appeared in front of the burly man. Where is he? The black-robed cultivator's sharp eyes looked at the burly man. Young master, I'm sorry. I lost him, the burly man said with his head lowered. Lost him? You can't even catch up to a heaven-opening cultivator, the young master said coldly, somewhat angry. Young master, that guy is very fast and his movement technique is very strange. He can shatter the void and disrupt my pursuit, the burly man explained. The black-robed cultivator flung his sleeves, his face covered in frost. At this moment, Fang Chen, who was hiding in the dark, saw everything clearly in the wasteland. Those two broken swords are very likely related to the demon sword Venerable who once dominated a region. If I can get the broken swords and enter Kanglan Castle, I'll definitely gain something. The black-robed cultivator was furious. The cooked duck was about to fly away. Young master, I already said that we should just snatch it, the burly man said. What do you know? Lianglong City's marketplace has a profound god holding down the fort. Who dares to act recklessly? The black-robed martial artist glared at the tall and sturdy burly man and said. Secretly, Fang Chen revealed a smile on his face. Is it related to demon sword Venerable? No wonder it caused the Azura sword energy to vibrate. Fang Chen muttered to himself. At the same time, he also recognized this black-robed cultivator. He was Tanifeng, ranked 97th on the saint rankings. Let's go. Without a second thought, Fang Chen turned around and left, disappearing into the darkness. In the following period of time, people came and went in Lianglong City. The atmosphere was extremely stifling. Finally, half a month later, Brother Lan brought news. Someone saw with their own eyes that the 5 tigers of Kanglan were heading towards the north of the Kanglan district. They seemed to have received some information and were already on the move. Moreover, he indicated that many people had already heard the news and were heading in the direction of the 5 tigers of Kanglan. Boss, the spinning speed of the Kanglan castle is weakening. It is very likely to be in the north of the Kanglan district. Brother Lan said, many Hun Tien Shen have already headed there. Do you want to make a move? Fang Chen nodded and took out some origin stones. He handed them to Brother Lan and said, this is your reward. Thank you, boss. Do you know anything about the 97th on the saint rankings, Straight Sword Tanifeng? Fang Chen asked. Straight Sword Tanifeng? Hearing this, Brother Lan was slightly surprised. He immediately said, of course I do. This person is an outstanding disciple of the Sacred Sword sect. He has already entered the saint rankings at such a young age. His future is limitless. Moreover, I heard that Tanifeng's sword principle seems to be a sword principle with killing as its core. How's his strength? Fang Chen asked. I don't know the details, but someone once saw Tanifeng kill 3 absolute Saint Realm martial artists with one sword. Since then, Tanifeng entered the saint rankings and became famous. Brother Lan was too weak and couldn't get in touch with the experts on the saint rankings, so he couldn't ask anything. However, Fang Chen was curious about the sword principle that Tanifeng cultivated. He had only heard of one sword principle that specialized in killing. It was the demon killing sword principle. That night, Fang Chen used the spacetime collapse skill and left Lianglong City for the north. A few days later, on a mountain peak, Fang Chen and a martial artist in a white robe sat side by side on the mountain peak. The two of them looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Brother Fang, I didn't expect that a heaven-opening realm martial artist like you would have such strength, the martial artist in a white robe said with a smile. Brother Bai's strength is not bad. I admire you. Bai Wen was a fellow that Fang Chen met on the way. He was very humorous and got along well with Fang Chen, so the two of them traveled together. Bai Wen kept saying that he was an expert on the saint rankings, but Fang Chen didn't believe him. In his opinion, Bai Wen was only an earth-opening realm martial artist. If he used his full strength, he could defeat Bai Wen instantly. However, Fang Chen didn't reveal his true strength. Just now, when the two of them were passing through a mountain range, they encountered an absolute saint realm beast. After a fierce battle, they finally escaped from the danger zone. I told you that I, Bai Wen, am an expert on the saint rankings, but you didn't believe me, Bai Wen said proudly as if he really was an expert on the saint rankings. I've heard of all the experts on the saint rankings, but I haven't heard of the name Bai Wen. Fang Chen looked at Bai Wen mockingly. He thought that Bai Wen was lying and deliberately deceiving him. Of course, he didn't care too much. I'm too popular. Everywhere I go, there will be a large number of people following me, so I chose to hide my name. Of course, you can't see me on the saint rankings, Bai Wen explained. Fang Chen chuckled and stopped talking about this meaningless topic. Brother Bai, how far are we from the landing site of Kanglan Castle? Fang Chen asked. During the conversation with Bai Wen along the way, Fang Chen found that this guy was like a know-it-all in the martial arts world. He didn't know anything. Let me count with my fingers. We'll be there in another 1,000 miles. At this moment, Bai Wen was like an old swindler. He pinched his fingers and said with a smile. Fang Chen rolled his eyes. He was speechless at this clown. Brother Fang, don't doubt me. I do have some understanding of metaphysics. Hey, don't go. I'm telling the truth. Fang Chen walked down the mountain and heard Bai Wen's shout behind him. Then tell me, what will happen to me on this trip to Kanglan Castle? Fang Chen couldn't help but turn his head and ask. Bai Wen chuckled and said, Brother Fang, you have an imposing appearance. At first glance, I can tell that you have a promising future. Although your strength is a little weak, it doesn't matter. You can make up for it with your potential. When Brother Fang comes out of Kanglan Castle, you will definitely shake the entire Kanglan district. Fang Chen turned his head and ignored Bai Wen. Bai Wen finally caught up with him, panting. Suddenly, in the distant mountains, the towering trees made a strange sound. There's movement. Fang Chen's face changed slightly. If that beast came out, it would be troublesome. It's not a demon beast. It's a human. Bai Wen whispered. As soon as his voice fell, a group of people came out of the mountains. The group of people divided into 2 rows. They walked on both sides, guarding a warrior in the middle. Jin Longyang of the Jin family. Bai Wen whispered. Didn't you see young Master Longyang coming out? Get lost. Suddenly, a guard shouted loudly. At the same time, he threw a punch at Fang Chen and Bai Wen. The 2 figures flashed and dodged the guard's attack. Immediately, their faces changed. Jin Longyang, who was moving forward, suddenly stopped and turned his head to look at the 2 eyesores. Kill them. Jin Longyang said coldly. Mph, isn't it just the young master of the Jin family? What's so great about him? I'm a powerhouse on the saint rankings, Bai Wen said disdainfully. Hearing this, the guards roared with laughter. If you're a powerhouse on the saint rankings, our young master would be number 1 on the saint rankings. Kill. Following a guard's roar, the other guards immediately attacked. Poochie. The sound of battle was endless. Fang Chen and Bai Wen looked at each other and then attacked. Along the way, the two had cooperated countless times and formed a tacit understanding. As soon as they attacked, they directly sent a guard flying and forced the other guards to retreat. Jin Longyang narrowed his eyes and stared at the two of them. You two have good skills. Be my guards. This was an order, not a discussion. How about you be my servant? Bai Wen said in a low voice. Chapter 23-24. What did you say? Jin Longyang's eyes glinted coldly as he said, Have you thought about the consequences of making me, Jin Longyang, your slave? I'm letting you be my servant because I think highly of you. Otherwise, with your strength, you won't even be able to carry my shoes, Bai Wen said bluntly. You're courting death. Jin Longyang shouted and swung his hand. Immediately, 2 darts shot towards Fang Chen and Bai Wen. Crash. The two stretched out their palms and easily caught the darts. Then, a chaotic battle broke out. Fang Chen and Bai Wen fought against the many Jin family members led by Jin Longyang. After a long while, miserable screams were heard. Jin Longyang was stepped on by Bai Wen to the ground, and the other guards fell to the ground in a sorry state. You weaklings, killing you will only dirty my hands, Bai Wen said disdainfully and stepped on Jin Longyang's head. Do you admit defeat? The Jin family won't let you go. Crack. Bai Wen stepped on Jin Longyang's head again. Jin Longyang's head cracked as if it was about to explode. Intense pain swept through his body. Ah! Jin Longyang let out a hoarse cry. His eyes were scarlet red and burning with rage. He could not wait to tear Bai Wen into pieces. My brother won't let you go. At this time, Jin Longyang was still threatening Bai Wen. Bai Wen was not a coward. Being threatened like this, he stepped harder on Bai Wen. Crack. A crack appeared on Jin Longyang's head and blood gushed out. I was wrong. Brother, I was really wrong. Please spare me. What was dignity compared to life? Do you admit defeat? Bai Wen asked. I admit defeat. I really admit defeat. Jin Longyang begged for mercy. I'm a person with principles. Just because you insulted me, I should twist your head off. But since you're a member of the Jin family, I'll spare your life. Bai Wen said, however, if you want to escape unscathed, give me information in exchange. What information? Jin Longyang wanted to cry. Idiot, of course it's information from Kanglan Castle. Bai Wen slapped Jin Longyang's head and said disdainfully, Our Jin clan has dispatched a total of 79 chaos gods, including my eldest brother, said Jin Longyang. I don't want to listen to your nonsense. Bai Wen stomped her foot harder, scaring Jin Longyang so much that his face turned pale. Our Jin family has received news that the sword wood has appeared in Kanglan Castle. This news has also been made known to the immortal Sword Villa. They are our hidden opponents. Jin Longyang was so frightened that he blurted out all the information he knew. After a long time, Bai Wen smiled and released Jin Longyang after hearing the detailed information about the sword wood. Get lost. When you see me in the future, remember to call me Grandpa. Yes, Grandpa. In order to survive, he didn't care about anything else. Soon, everyone from the Jin family left. Fang Chen turned his head to look at Bai Wen. The latter grinned and said, How was it? Master Bai's ability is not bad, right? I pinched my fingers and knew that the Jin family has information about the sword wood. Get lost. Fang Chen kicked Bai Wen's butt, his face full of helplessness. Why did he encounter such a fraud? He really wanted to knock him out with a stick. Brother Fang, you're a sword cultivator. Aren't you interested in the sword wood? Bai Wen caught up and asked with a smile. So what if I'm interested? Fang Chen said, The immortal Sword Villa and the Jin family are determined to get the sword wood. With my strength, it's very difficult to get it. Having said that, Fang Chen already had a plan in his heart. He would definitely not give up on the sword wood. Don't worry, Master Bai is here. When the time comes, you can go and get the sword wood without worry. If the immortal sword villa and the Jin family dare to make trouble, let's see how Master Bai will suppress them. Bai Wen said arrogantly. Fang Chen rolled his eyes at the latter and said, if only your strength was as good as your mouth. Do you think the immortal sword villa's young master immortal sword is a vegetarian? Jin Hanyang of the Jin family is a vegetarian. The two guys Fang Chen mentioned were real powerhouses on the saint ranking. They were much stronger than Tan Ifeng. Even if Fang Chen went up against them, he could only run for his life, let alone this guy who only knew how to talk big. Are you looking down on Master Bai? Do you think Master Bai is a vegetarian? So what if you're a powerhouse on the saint ranking? If they annoy you, Master Bai will suppress them. Bai Wen said with a sullen face. I can't stand you anymore. Fang Chen wanted to cry but had no tears. Shadow Moon Immortal Sect. Guru Purple Moon gathered all the disciples to discuss the matter of going to Kanglan Castle. Sect Master, all the Hun Tien Shen of our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect are here. You can make the specific arrangements. The purple-robed elder said with a smile. Our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect has now gained a firm foothold among the second-rate forces. If we can get the inheritance in Kanglan Castle, our strength will be guaranteed. At that time, even the first-rate forces won't dare to mess with us. Guru Purple Moon's eyes flashed with a trace of scorching light. Sect Master, our Shadow Moon Immortal Sect is developing too fast. Our foundation is unstable. There's really no need to get involved in this mess. Black Dragon Sect's Sect Master tried to dissuade Yang Kai. Of the cultivators who enter Kanglan Castle, only 1 out of 10 will survive, so it is very difficult to survive. Rather than that, it is better to take advantage of this opportunity to recuperate. When the great sects suffer heavy losses in Kanglan Castle, that will be the time for us to rise. Elder Long Hei, I know what you're worried about. But you should know the importance of Kanglan Castle, right? While the crowd was discussing below, Zhen Yuanzi was glaring from the clouds in the void. A bunch of idiots. Do you think Kanglan Castle is that easy to enter? Why don't you look in the mirror and see what you look like? Zhen Yuanzi said angrily, how dare you enter Kanglan Castle with this little strength? You're courting death. If he hadn't lost to Fang Chen and promised to protect the Shadow Moon Immortal Sect for 100 years, he wouldn't have bothered with these idiots. However, he was a man of his word. Since he'd lost, he had to keep his promise. Sigh, forget it. Who told me to be soft-hearted? I'll guide you. News of Kanglan Castle flooded the entire Kanglan district. The northern part of Kanglan City was also the place where Kanglan Castle was about to land. It was packed with people. However, before Kanglan Castle could land, a dispute broke out here. An earth-shattering battle was taking place. Many cultivators were hiding in the distance, secretly watching. Everyone was extremely excited because both sides of the battle were experts on the saint rankings. Heavens, isn't that the 5 tigers of Kanglan? Who dares to challenge the 5 tigers of Kanglan? I recognize him. The one challenging the 5 tigers of Kanglan is the 10th expert on the saint rankings. The 5 tigers of Kanglan have disappeared for a long time. I wonder how strong they are now. Boom. The battle was very intense. Deafening noises were endless. Yellow sand filled the sky, shrouding both sides in the battle. Only the other 4 of the 5 tigers of Kanglan could get close to the battlefield. The 5 tigers of Kanglan have been away for a long time. The world seems to have forgotten about us, said the 4th. Chimph, let's start with this guy. Let the world know the strength of the 5 tigers of Kanglan, said the 3rd disdainfully. The 5th strength is enough to deal with this guy. 5th, that's enough. Stop fooling around. Boss glanced at the intense battle, frowned slightly, and roared. As soon as the eldest's voice fell, a terrifying aura filled the air. A voice that shook the sky spread. In the next moment, a figure fell to the ground. The 5th of the 5 tigers of Kanglan was expressionless. There was some blood on his palm as he walked out of the dust. The scene shocked everyone. We, the 5 tigers of Kanglan, are back, shouted the 5th. Countless cultivators who were watching from afar cried out. This was especially so for those experts who were at the top of the saint rankings. This battle had a huge impact on them. They thought that the 5 tigers of Kanglen had disappeared for a long time. Their strength had risen to another level and they had surpassed the 5 tigers of Kanglen. Who would have thought that the 5 tigers of Kanglen would use such a shocking method to tell the world that they were back? The 5 tigers of Kanglen who had once defeated God Hun Tien of Kanglen district had returned in a powerful manner. They're too strong. No one can match them. That was the thought in everyone's mind. Chapter 23-25. Fenglan Castle finally landed in front of everyone's eyes. The northern part of Fenglan district was a desolate and uninhabited area. Wild beasts often roamed this area. How would heaven-opening realm cultivators dare to come here? But now, almost all of the pure sky god-level cultivators had gathered here for Fenglan Castle. The experts on the saint ranking had gathered, and their powerful auras made the hidden beasts wary of approaching. A few days later, Fang Chen and Bai Wen finally arrived at the uninhabited area. Has Fenglan Castle landed? Dong. As soon as Bai Wen's voice fell, a violent energy shook the heavens and earth. Fang Chen's body staggered. After stabilizing his body with great difficulty, he felt a berserk energy surging toward him, giving him a heart-palpitating feeling. Far away in the no-man's land, dust was flying in the air, and a vague castle could be seen. The castle was surrounded by extremely powerful forbidding spells. Fang Chen's pitch-black eyes stared at the castle in the dust. He was shocked to discover that there were complex runes around the castle. These runes contained unimaginable power. The power of nature. The power of nature was boundless. Even pure sky god didn't dare to say that he understood the heavens. The mysteries of the heavenly way were the pinnacle of the martial path that everyone pursued. Cultivators absorbed the origin energy in the air to temper their bodies and raise their cultivation base. From there, they would constantly advance towards the pinnacle of the martial path. But now, the castle was surrounded by the power of the heavenly way. How powerful was Reverend Fenglan in the past? Fang Chen muttered to himself. Generally speaking, those who could be called reverends were unparalleled experts. Even ordinary profound god cultivators wouldn't dare call themselves reverends. Fang Chen could clearly feel the power of the heavenly way around Fenglan Castle constantly spreading. The power of the heavenly way wouldn't harm a cultivator's body, but it would make them unarmed and defenseless, like an ordinary person. Fenglan Castle. At this moment, the most excited people were none other than the 5 tigers of Kanglen. Their internal space was damaged and they were stuck at the absolute saint realm for the rest of their lives. This was a chance that they couldn't miss. Ha ha ha, it really is the Kanglen Castle. How domineering. Back then, Reverend Kanglen was truly powerful. Even though he's been dead for countless years, the castle he left behind is still enveloped by heavenly energy. With the strength of us 5 brothers, we'll be able to sweep through all enemies once we enter Kanglen Castle. That's right. It's said that Venerable Kanglen once created a cultivation system. If we can obtain it, we can specialize in it. When the time comes, we'll definitely be able to step into the profound God realm. No one could understand how painful it was for a martial artist to be unable to take that step for eternity. It wasn't that they didn't work hard enough, but that their own conditions determined their future path. They were unwilling to give up. They spent their entire lives searching for a solution. The appearance of the Kanglen Castle was an opportunity. They believed that this was an opportunity. Seeing that the 5 tigers of Kanglen were in a frenzy, the experts on the saint rankings nodded. They could understand what the 5 of them were thinking. Gentlemen, what we should be thinking about now is how to enter Kanglen Castle, right? Suddenly, a voice was transmitted into the ears of the 5 people. Immediately, the 5 tigers of Kanglen turned around and saw a white-robed man holding a flute. He had a gentle smile on his face as he walked towards them step by step. Flute fairy, someone in the crowd exclaimed. At first, they didn't notice it, but after seeing the flute fairy, their hearts trembled. During the time that the 5 tigers of Kanglen had disappeared, the flute fairy was the most likely expert to replace them. Her potential was so great that it shook the entire Kanglen district. Even the innate world's major powers had tried to recruit her, but they were all rejected by the flute fairy. It was said that the flute fairy was protected by an expert. Even the major powers of the innate world didn't dare to casually deal with the flute fairy. The flute fairy usually kept a low profile. However, every time she made a move, she would shock everyone. Many people were talking about how the flute fairy's strength had already surpassed the 5 tigers of Kanglen. She deserved to be first on the saint ranking. So it's the flute fairy. The eldest of the 5 tigers of Kanglen nodded slightly. He didn't act rashly because he couldn't see through the flute fairy either. There's a very strong seal around Kanglen Castle. It's even surrounded by heavenly energy. It won't be easy to enter. The flute fairy said with a smile. What do you think? The eldest of the 5 tigers of Kanglen asked. Let's try and see how strong the seal is. Then we'll think of a way. As soon as the flute fairy finished speaking, everyone saw a white figure whizzing out. Ding! The crisp sound of metal colliding could be heard. In the next moment, everyone realized that the white-robed flute fairy had returned to her original position. Her face didn't change at all, as if nothing had happened. Only Fang Chen noticed that the flute fairy's hand that was holding the flute was trembling slightly. What a strong seal. If even an expert like the flute fairy couldn't break it, it must be very strong. The seal is very strong. We'll need to gather everyone's strength to break it. The eldest of the 5 tigers of Kanglen didn't waste any more time and said directly to everyone. Everyone present was basically at the level of the heaven god. They seemed to respect the 5 tigers of Kanglen. After hearing the eldest's words, they all nodded. The experts on the saint ranking took a step forward and stood side by side with the 5 tigers of Kanglen. However, at this moment, the 97th on the saint ranking, straight sword Tanifeng, suddenly saw Fang Chen standing at the back of the crowd. Damn it! Why is he here? A cold murderous intent flashed in Tanifeng's eyes. I'll let you live a little longer, Tanifeng said coldly. Then, the experts on the saint ranking joined forces and attacked the seal around Kanglen Castle. Boom! A deafening sound resounded in the sky. The attacks of the experts on the saint ranking were so powerful that the ground shook. Brother, is Tanifeng looking at you? Bai Wen asked. Yes. There's murderous intent in his eyes. Did you offend him? Bai Wen continued to ask. Fang Chen nodded. Bai Wen immediately said, Humph, if he dares to cause trouble for you, you'll never forgive him. Along the way, Fang Chen had gotten used to Bai Wen's glib tongue. Boom. Just as the two of them were talking, a crack suddenly appeared in the restriction. Continue to attack, the eldest of the 5 tigers of Kanglen roared. Then, wave after wave of powerful attacks bombarded the seal. After a while, the seal was broken. Charge! Led by the 5 tigers of Kanglen, many experts rushed into Kanglen Castle. When Fang Chen and Bai Wen were about to move, Tanifeng's dark eyes looked at them again. Fang Chen frowned. Was Tanifeng going to deal with him here? Let's go in, Fang Chen said in a low voice. Then, he leaped and disappeared into the void. He had used the space-time collapse technique. Brother Fang, wait for me. Bai Wen saw this and hurriedly chased after him. Trying to escape, Tanifeng deliberately walked at the back to kill Fang Chen. Stop! Tanifeng bellowed and slashed out with both hands. Instantly, a ferocious sword light slashed towards the void. Crack! The fierce sword light cut through the sky and chased after Fang Chen. Condense! The spirit of the mysterious sky cone nail let out a clear voice. Suddenly, the fierce sword light was unbelievably imprisoned in the void, motionless. How is this possible? Tanifeng saw this and cried out involuntarily. He widened his eyes and looked at Fang Chen's back that disappeared into Kanglen Castle. He dared not imagine how a heaven-opening realm martial artist could withstand his attack. Damn it, I won't let you go. After a long time, Tanifeng was furious and roared crazily. At this time, Fang Chen had already entered Kanglen Castle. Master, you have to improve your cultivation as soon as possible. I have restrictions and can't help you. I can only guide you with this little trick, the spirit said. Fang Chen nodded, a trace of passion flashed in his eyes. If I can get the inheritance left by the demon sword Venerable, I will definitely be able to step into the earth-opening realm. Fang Chen said to himself. In every realm, he could use the mysterious sky cone nail once. Before he stepped into the earth-opening realm, he would use up the quota for the heaven-opening realm. He could not wait to see how strong the mysterious sky cone nail was when it was in its peak state. Chapter 23-26. Without entering the Kanglan Castle, one would never be able to imagine that a castle could be so huge. At this moment, Fang Chen was standing in a square. He widened his eyes and looked around at the empty space. There were some buildings in the distance. This was the legendary Kanglan Castle. It's too big. It's even bigger than the ancient Sword Continent. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. He admired Venerable Kanglan even more. The origin energy in the castle seems to be a little thin. Fang Chen frowned and thought to himself. After rushing into the castle, Fang Chen realized that he and Bai Wen were separated. After passing through the light gate, they were separated. This was probably Venerable Kanglan's idea. If they gathered together, the stronger ones would definitely attack the weaker ones first. By spreading the crowd apart, it would also give the weaker ones a chance to win. Dong. Fang Chen felt the broken sword in his Sumeru ring trembling as if something was summoning it. Venerable Demon Sword's inheritance. That must be it. How could it make the broken sword tremble? Help me check the surroundings. Fang Chen ordered the artifact spirit. His primordial spirit cultivation was only at the 7th origin realm. It was far from being comparable to those ultimate sage realm experts. Therefore, he needed the artifact spirit to help him check the surroundings. Otherwise, the experts on the saint ranking wouldn't be able to detect him. Don't worry, Master. There's no one within 1,000 miles. The artifact spirit said with a smile. Fang Chen nodded. Then, his body flashed and he quickly moved forward according to the guidance of the broken sword. In front of a small building, Bai Wen looked left and right, sizing up his surroundings with shifty eyes. F***CK, I can't believe you sent me here. Bai Wen felt a little helpless. If he guessed correctly, the small building in front of him should be the place where Venerable Demon Sword imprisoned his prisoners. Time had erased youth, but it couldn't erase the traces of imprisonment. The building looked like a courtyard from the outside. After Bai Wen approached, he gently waved his hand and patted the void. Suddenly, a golden net-like aura appeared in the void. Dense flames flickered on it, sealing the entire cage. Mother ***, luckily I got some information in advance. Otherwise, I would have been tricked. Bai Wen could not help but curse. However, just as he turned his head, a fiery red light shot out from the sea of fire. Before Bai Wen could react, she was enveloped by the fiery red light and sucked into the prison. No! Bai Wen's voice came from the cell. Along the way, Fang Chen encountered many martial artists, the majority of them heaven-opening realm martial artists. To them, the outer area of Kanglan Castle was the safest place. They didn't dare to go too deep. They would wait until they obtained the inheritance and improved their strength. After sensing Fang Chen's aura, some people seemed to want to rob Fang Chen. Kid, stop right there. At a certain moment, two earth-splitting realm early-stage cultivators blocked Fang Chen's path with smiles on their faces. What's the matter? Fang Chen asked. Hand over your Sumeru ring and we can spare your life. The bald man said. Oh, spare my life. Fang Chen sneered. What if I want to die? Then I'll fulfill your wish. A cold killing intent flashed in the bald man's eyes. Immediately, his figure flashed and launched a powerful attack on Fang Chen. Get lost. Fang Chen shouted in a low voice. He clenched his fists and was about to attack. However, right at that moment, a pink streak of light suddenly shot out and struck the bald man. Bullying the weak. What's the meaning of this? An elegant voice came from the void. Fang Chen was also stunned. He immediately loosened his fists, withdrew his aura, and turned his head to look. Fairy Yuhua? After seeing the person who came, Fang Chen was also stunned. He didn't expect to meet Fairy Yuhua here. The latter actually helped him out. Fairy Yuhua was dressed in a pink robe, revealing her beautiful figure. There was a touch of indifference on her beautiful face. She walked lightly and gracefully in front of Fang Chen. She blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at the bald man. Then, she said, "What if I also ask you to hand over your Sumeru rings? Fairy Yuhua, please forgive us. This kid deserves to die. Fairy Yuhua, please let us go. These are our Sumeru rings. We'll give them all to you." The two earth-splitting realm martial artists who were very arrogant just now directly knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling and their hearts filled with fear. Get lost. What kind of person is Fairy Yuhua? How can she be interested in your Sumeru rings? Behind Fairy Yuhua, the maid berated. In an instant, the two Earth Expansion Realm cultivators fled from this place in a panic. Thank you, Fairy Yuhua, for saving us. Fang Chen cupped his fists and thanked her. Although he could deal with it, the latter had helped after all. Fairy Yuhua was a powerhouse on the saint list, and she was ranked near the top. For such a powerhouse to help, it was enough to see that her nature was kind. Fairy Yuhua nodded to Fang Chen and said, "I was passing by and just happened to encounter you." After saying that, Fairy Yuhua turned and left. "No matter what, I, Fang Chen, owe you a favor. If you need me in the future, just ask," Fang Chen said. However, Fairy Yuhua had already disappeared. The maid beside her shook her head gently. What kind of powerhouse was Fairy Yuhua? If she encountered a difficulty that even she couldn't solve, what could a heaven-splitting realm martial artist help? However, what they didn't know was how important this promise of Fang Chen's would be in the near future. Let's continue on our way. As they continued forward, Fang Chen could feel that the vibration of the broken sword was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed that they were about to reach their destination. In the following time, Fang Chen didn't encounter any difficulties and easily arrived at the eastern region of Kanglan Castle. Whew! Stepping on the soft soil, Fang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. His pitch-black eyes looked at the sand in the distance, and a ripple appeared in his heart. There's a powerful sword chi hidden in this sand. Fang Chen muttered to himself. With a thought, two broken swords appeared in his hands. Wang. As soon as the broken swords appeared, they floated uncontrollably in the air. When the two broken swords reached a certain height, they looked at each other and spun rapidly. Streams of sword Dao aura were emitted from them and gradually merged with the sword Dao aura in the sand. Is this really the inheritance of Demon Sword Venerable? Fang Chen's face revealed an excited smile. In his body, the Shura sword chi circulated uncontrollably. At this moment, in a region thousands of miles away from here. Black Mountain King, what are you looking for? A few Pioneer Realm cultivators saw the Black Mountain King and asked with laughter. Although they were all in the same realm, they didn't dare to be careless when facing the Black Mountain King. The latter was the bodyguard of Tanifeng, the 97th ranked single sword on the saint ranking. He was strong and was one of Tanifeng's most popular people. If they could make friends with him, they might be able to gain Tanifeng's favor. Someone offended my young master. I'm looking for him. The Black Mountain King didn't hide anything. Who dares to offend young master Tanifeng? Yeah, is he tired of living? The faces of the cultivators changed as they exclaimed. Huala. With a thought, the Black Mountain King's soul Dao aura spread out and formed an illusory image in the air. This is the person. If you see him, inform me immediately. I'll reward you handsomely. The Black Mountain King said. The cultivators stared at the illusory image carefully. One of the cultivators with a short stature frowned slightly. He didn't know why, but when he saw the illusory image, he felt that it was familiar. Catcher. The image disappeared, and the Black Mountain King prepared to leave. At this moment, the short cultivator slapped his head and said, I was wondering why it was so familiar. So it's him. Hearing his exclamation, the Black Mountain King stopped in his tracks. You know this person? The Black Mountain King asked hurriedly. Black Mountain King, my big brother and I have seen this person before. We even had a conflict with him. My big brother had already made a move, but who knew that Yu Manlu's fairy Yu Hua happened to pass by and saved that guy? The short cultivator said. Where is he? The Black Mountain King grabbed his leader and asked in a deep voice. He seems to be walking in that direction. The short cultivator pointed to the front. Chapter 23-27. Fang Chen was sensing the aura of the Azura sword Dao in the sand when the artifact spirit suddenly spoke. Master, there are people approaching. They seem to be coming for you. How's their strength? Fang Chen asked. They are all Earth Expansion Realm cultivators. One of them had made a move against you before, and the other one is Tanifeng's guard. Hearing that, a cold killing intent flashed in Fang Chen's eyes. He clenched his fists, and killing intent surged from his body. Since you're here, don't leave. After saying that, he put away the broken sword and waited for the arrival of these people. Not long after, with the Black Mountain King in the lead, several expansion realm cultivators appeared in Fang Chen's vision. Too slow. Fang Chen suddenly said, causing the Black Mountain King and the others to be confused. You knew we were coming? The Black Mountain King asked. Is it important? The Black Mountain King sneered and said disdainfully, yes, it's not important. After saying that, the Black Mountain King approached Fang Chen and threatened, how dare you steal my young master's things? Are you tired of living? No matter what you do today, don't even think about leaving this sand. That's right. This sand will be your burial ground. Last time, Fairy Yuhua saved you. This time, let's see who can save you, the short cultivator said coldly. Facing these expansion realm clowns, Fang Chen's lips curled up in disdain. He shook his head lightly and said, ignorant and idiotic cultivators like you have died in my hands. You're not even ranked. Arrogant, you're too arrogant, the Black Mountain King said coldly. I'd like to see how capable you are. The short cultivator was the first to make a move. A powerful aura surrounded his body as he launched a fierce attack at Fang Chen. Bang! However, facing such an attack, Fang Chen did not dodge. Only when the short cultivator was infinitely close to him did he throw out a punch. It looked like a simple punch, but it contained endless power. The fist collided with the short warrior's body and immediately sent the latter's body flying. How is this possible? The Black Mountain King had been by Tanifeng's side for many years. He was very knowledgeable and could tell that Fang Chen's physical strength was extraordinary. The Black Mountain King thought to himself, his physical prowess should at least be comparable to a pinnacle earth-shattering realm cultivator, right? So what if your physical strength is strong? Even if I don't fight you in close quarters, I can still kill you. Bang! With a few punches, the otherworldly expansion realm cultivators who had followed the Black Mountain King here were all killed. At this moment, Fang Chen looked at the Black Mountain King with a smile. It's your turn, Fang Chen said. I have to say that your physical strength is very strong, but do you think you can defeat me with just this? The Black Mountain King laughed as a long sword appeared in his hand. His face was full of mockery as he said, my young master is known as the one-word sword. He specializes in swordsmanship and is a 1 in a million genius in swordsmanship. As his guard, although my talent in swordsmanship is not good, it's still not something you can compare to. You're good at close combat, but I can kill you from afar. What can you do to me? The Black Mountain King sneered, his face full of disdain. Fang Chen looked at the Black Mountain King calmly and said, so, your swordsmanship is stronger than your physical strength? Of course. The Black Mountain King said proudly, how can your mediocre skills compare to the swordsmanship that my master taught me? Fang Chen shook his head and said, is Tanifeng's swordsmanship very strong? Is it stronger than the demon-killing sword Dao and Azura sword Dao? The Black Mountain King was furious and said in a low voice, the demon-killing sword Dao and Azura sword Dao are invincible swordsmanships. Do you think they are cabbages that anyone can cultivate? So, Tanifeng's swordsmanship is inferior to the Azura sword Dao? Fang Chen asked. Although my master's swordsmanship is inferior to the Azura sword Dao, it's still one of the top swordsmanships in the chaotic void. I've only cultivated a little, but it's enough to destroy you. After saying that, the Black Mountain King shook his wrist and the long sword in his hand drew a strange trajectory. A violent sword light instantly burst out. Dong! Fang Chen stood still and activated the myriad sword body. The myriad sword territory surrounded him and resisted the sword light. Crack! The sword light hit Fang Chen and burst into dazzling sparks before finally dissipating. The Black Mountain King rubbed his eyes hard and looked at Fang Chen in disbelief. How is this possible? How can your physical strength be so strong? At this moment, the Black Mountain King's heart was filled with fear. He prepared to contact Tan Ifeng secretly. Since you're so stupid, I'll show you the real Azura Sword Dao. Just as Fang Chen's voice fell, he suddenly executed the Azura Sword skill. Swoosh! The first move of the Azura Sword Dao was enough to deal with the Black Mountain King. The violent Azura Sword Chi condensed into a sword light and pierced through the Black Mountain King's chest. Blood spurted out and the Black Mountain King's body fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Fang Chen. Azura! Before he could finish his last sentence, he fell to the ground and lost his life. He probably did not know that Fang Chen was a martial artist of the Azura Sword Dao. If he had known, he would not have come alone. It was a pity that he could not transmit the news to Tan Ifeng. After killing the Black Mountain King, Fang Chen patted the dust off his clothes. Immediately, he turned his head and saw that there was a slight change on the surface of the sand. Is it because of the Azura Sword Chi? Fang Chen muttered to himself. He held the star-hidden sword and walked towards the sand step by step. When his feet landed on the sand, he immediately felt a violent sword chi coming from beneath the sand. Sure enough. Fang Chen was excited and his body trembled. The familiar aura and the familiar sword Dao. The demon sword Venerable had indeed been here, but he did not know what he had left behind. Let me see your true face. Fang Chen shouted and displayed the 5 moves of the Azura Sword Dao. 5 terrifying sword lights hovered in the air and the momentum was shocking. At the same time, the 2 broken swords that he had obtained earlier floated out of the Sumeru ring and rapidly absorbed the power of the 5 sword lights. In the blink of an eye, the power of the 5 sword lights was absorbed by the 2 broken swords. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew and sand flew up. Suddenly, the surface layer below the sand appeared in front of Fang Chen. Fang Chen's pupils shrank and he was excited. Below the sand, there were 2 sword holes. The 2 broken swords hovering in the air could be inserted into them. Everything has already been decided by the heavens. Fang Chen did not believe in karma before, but now he finally believed in it. The cycle of karma allowed him to find the inheritance left here by the demon sword Venerable. Catcher. The 2 broken swords were instantly inserted into the monitor. Suddenly, the earth trembled and a huge stone door slowly opened. A dark underground cave appeared in front of Fang Chen. Is this the cultivation place of the demon sword Venerable? Fang Chen jumped in without hesitation. Dong! The huge stone door closed again. Sand flew up and covered the stone door. Peace was restored as if nothing had happened. In the underground palace, a yellow futon was placed quietly on the ground with 2 broken swords beside it. Catcher. The 2 broken swords that were inserted into the holes instantly merged with the broken swords in the underground palace, forming 2 perfect swords. The demon sword Venerable came here before. Fang Chen said. He could feel the pure Azura Sword Dao aura in the air. Hey! At this moment, Fang Chen exclaimed softly and turned his head to the side. There was a stone tablet there. Sword Fairy Jingqi. The stone tablet recorded the important events of the Sword Fairy Jingqi's life. At the bottom of the tablet was the words, the unfilial disciple of the demon sword Venerable, Sword Fairy Jingqi. So she is the disciple of the demon sword Venerable. But why is there the words unfilial disciple? Fang Chen was puzzled. After a long while, he finally understood. There was no inheritance left behind by the demon sword Venerable, but there was the inheritance left behind by the Sword Fairy Jingqi. As the disciple of the demonic sword Venerable, Sword Immortal Jingqi's attainments in the Shura Sword Dao must be incomparable to ordinary people, Fang Chen thought to himself. Right now, the most pressing matter for him was to comprehend the Shura Sword Dao and raise his cultivation. Chapter 23-28. Fang Chen sat cross-legged on the yellow praying mat. Immediately, a frenzied Azura sword chi entered his body. Fang Chen closed his eyes and started to comprehend the Shura sword principle. From the stone tablet, he could tell that Sword Fairy Jingqi had died an unnatural death. He hated himself for not being able to fulfill his master's wish, so he had carved a stone tablet before he died and signed it as an unfilial disciple. He had hidden all of his life's comprehension in the yellow futon. As long as one possessed the Azura sword principle, they would naturally be able to sense it. If one did not possess the Azura sword principle, no matter how strong they would not be able to sense it. In the huge Kanglan castle, countless martial artists were searching for opportunities. The experts on the saint ranking rushed to the core of Kanglan Castle to fight for the important inheritance that Honorable Kanglan had left behind. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In a dark forest, a figure suddenly rushed out of the swamp that was surrounded by death chi. If anyone was there, they would definitely recognize this person. He was Straight Sword Tanifeng, who was ranked 97th on the saint ranking. Sword Fairy Mo Luo, don't worry. Since I have obtained your inheritance, I will definitely avenge you. Tanifeng's face remained expressionless, but his pitch-black eyes emitted a murderous intent. A short sword the size of a palm appeared in his hand. He gently stroked the short sword with his fingers and a wave of aura entered his mind. Is this where Sword Fairy Jing Qi's inheritance is? Soon, Tanifeng sensed the location of Sword Fairy Jing Qi. Then, his body flashed and he left the dark forest. Rumble. A deafening sound reverberated through the sky. Tanifeng had just walked out of the dark forest when he sensed the fluctuations of a battle. Experts on the saint ranking are fighting? Tanifeng was a little curious. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and leaped up onto a towering tree. When he looked over, he discovered that there were two experts fighting on the plains in the distance. Shui Yuluo, ranked 93rd on the saint ranking, and Han Sho, ranked 91st on the saint ranking. A strange look flashed across Tanifeng's eyes as he quickly approached the battlefield. Bang! Shui Yuluo, who was wearing a blood-red robe, suddenly punched Han Sho's body. Immediately, a violent power attacked Han Sho. He turned pale with fright and kept retreating. You have cultivated the Vajra-killing physique? Shui Yuluo's face was filled with shock. You only know now. It's too late. Han Sho let out a sinister laugh. Raging energy swirled around him as he unleashed a thunderous attack. With just a few punches, he sent Shui Yuluo flying. Shui Yuluo, who was lying on the ground, struggled to get up. He said dejectedly, I lost. He had thought that he would have the strength to challenge Han Sho after cultivating for so many days. Who would have thought that Han Sho would have cultivated the Vajra-killing physique? You have cultivated the Vajra-killing physique. My loss is justified. With that, Shui Yuluo turned and left. I will challenge you again. Hoo. At this moment, Tanifeng arrived. Pa. Tanifeng clapped his hands and a faint smile appeared on his face. As expected of the 91st place on the saint ranking, Han Sho. You have cultivated the Vajra-killing physique. Impressive, Tanifeng said. Han Sho frowned. Tanifeng's expression made him very unhappy. What? You want to fight me? Han Sho asked in a deep voice. Han Sho, keep your tricks. I am not a coward like Shui Yuluo, who can be defeated by you in just a few punches. Tanifeng sneered. You are ranked 97th on the saint ranking, Shui Yuluo, who was about to leave, said unhappily. So what? After today, I will be ranked 91st on the saint ranking. Tanifeng spread his hands and laughed. Arrogant, Han Sho roared. He used the Vajra-killing physique and punched out. Suddenly, countless fist radiance shot toward Tanifeng. Too weak. If it was in the past, Tanifeng would not have dared to provoke Han Sho even if he had 100 guts. But it was different now. He had obtained the inheritance of Sword Immortal Maro and his attack power had increased by several times. I have not fought since I obtained the inheritance of Sword Immortal Maro. Today, I will start with you. As soon as Tanifeng's voice fell, his body flashed and the long sword in his hand danced continuously. Streaks of strange sword light burst out one after another. Crack. The sword radiance contained a strong sword principle aura. It directly pierced through the fist radiance in the void. How is this possible? Seeing this, Han Sho was shocked and quickly retreated. Shui Yuluo was scared out of his wits. Tan Ifeng's strength. Shui Yuluo saw that the situation was not good and quickly fled. Not long after he left, a miserable cry suddenly came from behind him. I am not satisfied. He could tell that the voice came from Han Sho. He sighed in his heart. Han Sho, who had shown mercy to him, was killed by Tan Ifeng. Too strong. Shui Yuluo felt a chill down his spine and quickly fled. Soon, Shui Yuluo spread the news. This news stunned countless martial artists. What kind of inheritance did Tan Ifeng get? How could his strength increase so much? Han Sho is an expert ranked 91st on the saint list. He is much stronger than Tan Ifeng. How could he be killed by Tan Ifeng? The news should be true. Shui Yuluo, who was defeated by Han Sho, said it himself. It is said that if Shui Yuluo had not fled early, he would have been killed by Tan Ifeng. For a time, news about Tan Ifeng was all over the place. Of course, this was nothing to the experts at the top of the saint list. But for those who were not on the saint list, it was more shocking. After Tan Ifeng killed Han Sho, he replaced Han Sho on the saint list and was ranked 91st. At this moment, Fang Chen, who was Tan Ifeng's target, was immersed in cultivation. In the underground palace, Fang Chen sat cross-legged on a yellow cattail hassock. It took Fang Chen a whole month to completely absorb the enlightenment in the yellow cattail hassock into his mind. Next, it was time to refine the enlightenment. He wanted to merge Sword Fairy Jing Qi's enlightenment with his own and then improve his understanding of the Azura Sword Principle. The Azura Sword Principle was born for killing. Fang Chen muttered under his breath. His body was surrounded by dense sword light. Lead. Fang Chen shouted. The Azura Sword Qi in his mind was guided into the space in his body. Buzz. When the Azura Sword Qi entered the space in his body, it immediately invaded the entire space. At this moment, Fang Chen understood something. My space will be called the Azura space in the future. As the Azura Sword Qi entered his body, the space in his body was constantly changing. Fang Chen was using his sword principle to change the space in his body. One day, when the space in his body was separated from his body and formed a miniature universe, it would become a sacred place for sword cultivators. I see. After figuring this out, Fang Chen's face showed an excited smile. Then, he waved his hand. The violent Azura Sword Qi was continuously injected into the space in his body. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. After 7 days, Fang Chen's cultivation finally broke through to the limit of the heaven-opening realm. Condense. Fang Chen shouted and suddenly opened his eyes. If I continue to break through, there is hope for me to step into the earth-opening realm. Fang Chen said, but that will cause the foundation to be unstable. On the path of martial arts, one must strengthen the foundation step by step. In fact, there was another important reason. He did not want to waste the opportunity to use the mysterious sky cone nail. Whoosh. Azura Sword Principle. Suddenly, Fang Chen's mind flashed with a complicated light. In the next moment, he held the hidden star sword and began to perform a chaotic sword dance. The 6th move. In his mind, the shape of the 6th move appeared. That's it. With the Azura Sword Qi as the guide and the power of the space in my body, the main attack power of this move is the 1-inch punch. Thinking of this, Fang Chen grinned. Whoosh. A powerful sword light burst out from the hidden star sword and fiercely slashed at the wall beside him. However, the wall did not move at all. 1-inch punch. Fang Chen put away the hidden star sword and stared at the wall with a grin. Crack. As soon as his voice fell, the stone chips on the wall fell. After the stone chips fell, there was a shocking sword mark. I can't exert the full power of 1-inch punch for the time being. Fang Chen was quite satisfied with his 6th move. After I upgrade the grade of the hidden star sword, it should be enough, right? Chapter 23-29. The Shura Sword Principle was Fang Chen's most powerful sword principle. At the same time, it was a sword principle that he had created himself. He had created it based on the Wuji sword sect's traceless sword principle. There was a large part of the traceless sword principle in it. However, at this stage, Fang Chen's control of the Shura sword principle had reached an unimaginable level. As his understanding of the Shura sword principle deepened, the Shura sword principle would also reach a certain level. Looking at the shocking sword mark on the wall, Fang Chen's face was full of smiles. The sixth move of the Shura sword principle was exactly what he had in mind. This move had perfectly combined the 1-inch punch and the Shura sword chi to form a powerful move. Am I qualified to challenge an expert on the saint ranking now? Fang Chen muttered to himself. In theory, with his peak heaven-opening realm cultivation base and his insane Shura sword principle, it was not impossible for him to challenge an expert on the saint ranking. However, being able to enter the saint ranking was a display of one's potential and strength. While Fang Chen was improving, the experts on the saint ranking were improving as well. Therefore, even Fang Chen did not dare to fight him head-on. He was confident that he could defeat an expert ranked on the saint rankings. However, if it was a battle of life and death, he was not afraid of any expert on the saint ranking. This was because his trump card was the mysterious sky cone nail. It's time to leave. Fang Chen cupped his fists at the pitch-black cave to express his gratitude. Thank you. After comprehending the Shura sword principle, Fang Chen had a certain understanding of sword immortal Jing Qi. He knew that she had been killed by a scoundrel, which led to her death. If I have the chance, I will avenge you. With that, Fang Chen turned and left. Splash. Stepping on the sand, Fang Chen's heart was filled with complicated emotions. After obtaining sword immortal Jing Qi's comprehension of the Shura sword principle, his understanding of the Shura sword principle had reached an extremely high level. He looked up, and a shocking ray of light shot out from his dark eyes. Is it time to look for the sword wood? He had obtained detailed information about the sword wood from Jin Longyang. Although he did not know whether it was true or not, he still needed to take a look. According to Jin Longyang, the location of the sword wood seems to be in a sea of fire. Fang Chen muttered. He allowed the mysterious heaven cone nail's tool spirit to sense if there was a sea of fire around them. Master, there is no sea of fire within a radius of 1,000 miles, the artifact spirit said. You can choose a direction and continue forward. I will keep a lookout for you. Hearing this, Fang Chen nodded and glanced to the north. His intuition told him that there was a sea of fire in the north. Several days later, the artifact spirit's words made Fang Chen very happy. Master, there's a small sea of fire up ahead. I don't know if it's what you're looking for, the artifact spirit said. Where? Fang Chen asked excitedly. The artifact spirit engraved the map in Fang Chen's mind. Under the artifact spirit's guidance, Fang Chen quickly moved forward. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before a sea of fire. This is, Fang Chen stared ahead. The sea of fire was not big. The majestic flames rose to the sky, giving people a rather shocking feeling. Within the sea of fire, there was a raging fire burning. Where's the sword wood? Fang Chen frowned. His consciousness shrouded the sea of fire as he thought to himself. At the same time, a group of people walked out not far away. Is it there? The leader was Jin Longyang, who was stepped on by Bai Wen. Behind him, there were a few absolute Saint Realm martial artists. They were all from the Jin family. According to the information we received, the swordwood should be nearby, one of the absolute Saint Realm martial artists said in a low voice. Let's go and take a look. Jin Longyang's face was filled with excitement. He strode toward the sea of fire. However, when he saw the figure in front of the sea of fire, a trace of fear appeared in his heart. He stopped and wanted to retreat. Young master, what's wrong? The absolute Saint Realm martial artists asked in confusion. At this time, Jin Longyang realized that there were a few absolute Saint Realm martial artists behind him. What was there to be afraid of? Humph. Jin Longyang's pitch-black eyes emitted a cold glint when he thought of the hatred from being humiliated by Bai Wen. Soon after, he swaggered away from Fang Chen. Fang Chen, who was deep in thought, was awakened by the sound of footsteps. He turned around and saw that it was Jin Longyang. He looked at him with a smile. Boy, where's the guy who was with you? Jin Longyang said fiercely. With an absolute Saint Realm martial artist by his side, he was much bolder. You mean Bai Wen? Fang Chen said faintly. If he was here, would you still dare to show off like this? Someone like you wants to obtain the sword would? Dream on. As soon as Jin Longyang finished speaking, he suddenly pointed his finger at Fang Chen and said, "Kill him for me." Hearing this, one of the Absolute Saint Realm martial artists looked coldly at Fang Chen and said, "Boy, you deserve to die for offending our young master. Unfortunately, you can't kill me." Fang Chen shook his head indifferently. He didn't take these Absolute Saint Realm martial artists seriously at all. Shameless boasting. The Absolute Saint Realm martial artist huffed coldly. He released a wild aura that pressed down on Fang Chen. At the same time, he stomped his foot and jumped into the air. He came above Fang Chen and punched toward Fang Chen's head. "Who asked you to be so arrogant?" Seeing that Fang Chen was about to die, Jin Longyang's face turned cold. "Good, I can test my strength." Fang Chen raised his head and looked at the berserk fist light. Just as the fist light was about to touch his head, he suddenly punched out. Dong! The two fists collided, and a deafening sound exploded. Oh no! The Absolute Saint Realm martial artist, who had been full of confidence, suddenly cried out. He felt a strange aura pass through his fist and enter his body, wantonly destroying his internal organs. Deng! Deng! After stabilizing himself, the Absolute Saint Realm martial artist used his powerful strength to refine Fang Chen's strange power. How is this possible? He couldn't imagine that a sky-opening realm martial artist could explode with such power. Trash, you're an Absolute Saint Realm martial artist, but you can't kill a sky-opening realm martial artist. Jin Longyang shouted angrily and stomped his foot. Don't worry, young master. I'll definitely kill this boy. Although he was a bit confused, he instantly regained his confidence. Boy, I don't care what kind of evil method you used. You must die today. The Absolute Saint Realm martial artist roared and attacked again. Violent energy engulfed the entire land and launched a fierce and domineering attack at Fang Chen. Seeing this, Fang Chen shook his head and sighed. He didn't want to kill, but this person wanted to kill him. Such a person had to die. Huala! The hidden star sword appeared in his hand. The sword was like a dragon, and its aura was like a rainbow. He used the Shura sword technique, and a strange sword light shot out, piercing through the Absolute Saint Realm martial artist's attack and landing on his body. I'll block it. The Absolute Saint Realm martial artist used all his strength to form the strongest defense to block Fang Chen's attack. However, Fang Chen used the Innate Soul Reversal technique. The third level of the Innate Soul Reversal technique was extremely powerful. A terrifying soul path aura instantly filled the air. Above Fang Chen's head, it quickly condensed into a terrifying long sword and pierced the Sage Realm martial artist's mind. Ah! A pained cry sounded. The Absolute Saint Realm martial artist's Yuan spirit was stabbed, and his mind was in chaos. His defense was pierced. Catcher! The Shura sword light took advantage of this opportunity and pierced his chest, instantly piercing through his body. Boom! Fang Chen's wrist shook, and the hidden star sword spun around in his body, causing his body to explode. At the same time, his Yuan spirit didn't escape either. Dong! Dust flew into the air. An absolute saint died at Fang Chen's hands just like that. This scene made everyone, including Jin Longyang, feel extremely shocked. Impossible. A sky-opening realm martial artist can kill a absolute saint realm martial artist. That's impossible. Everyone couldn't believe it, but the reality in front of them told them that it was all true. Damn it. Jin Longyang's eyes turned red. He waved his hand and said crazily, "All of you, attack together and kill him. I don't believe that he has 3 heads and 6 arms." At this moment, Jin Longyang had also gone crazy. The other absolute saint realm martial artists looked at each other and released powerful auras. They stepped out and surrounded Fang Chen in the middle. Chapter 2330. The few absolute saint realm martial artists that Jin Longyang had brought were all martial artists who had just broken through. They hadn't completely consolidated their foundation yet. With Fang Chen's strength, he could easily kill them. Surrounded by several absolute saint realm martial artists, Fang Chen didn't look serious at all. Instead, he revealed a sly look. He looked at Jin Longyang and said, "Do you remember what you said to Bai Wen? Do I need to remember the words of a dead person so clearly?" In his opinion, Bai Wen was definitely going to die. He had already informed his brother to kill Bai Wen. Once they met Bai Wen, they would definitely kill him. Hearing this, Fang Chen smiled and said, "I know." As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Chen's 10,000 swords domain instantly expanded. For a moment, the weapons in the hands of the absolute Saint Realm martial artists were actually out of control. Although the time was very short, it gave Fang Chen enough time. A battle between experts was only a matter of minutes and seconds. Especially a battle between absolute Saint Realm experts. As Fang Chen's strength increased, the effect of the 10,000 swords domain also became more and more powerful. In the past, it could only be used on sword-type weapons. Now, it could be used on any weapon. It was just that the imprisonment time was a little short. However, Fang Chen believed that as the 10,000 swords body improved, the imprisonment power of the 10,000 swords domain would also become stronger. He couldn't wait to see what the 10,000 swords domain would look like when it matured to its peak. It was unimaginable that when the 10,000 swords domain was strong enough to imprison any weapon in the chaotic void, who would be his opponent? Of course, this was just his imagination. Fang Chen knew that he still had a long way to go. Step by step, he moved forward steadily. Shura sword technique. Fang Chen didn't hesitate to use the Shura sword technique. Terrifying sword light immediately swept across the entire land, instantly enveloping the few absolute Saint Realm martial artists. When their weapons could move, Fang Chen's Shura sword light had already enveloped them. Like the water of the Yellow River, endless power burst out from the star-hidden sword. Huala. At this moment, a towering tree within the hidden star sword started to sway. Countless branches shot out and wrapped around several absolute saint stage cultivators. The third innate attribute of the star-concealing sword was pestering. Courting death. One of the absolute Saint Realm cultivators roared and punched the branches around him. Suddenly, the branches shattered, and he broke free. He held a weapon in his hand and vigorously attacked Fang Chen. Huala. However, at this moment, Fang Chen's figure disappeared like a ghost. What happened? The few Saint Realm martial artists exclaimed. Their eyes widened as they looked around. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Oh no, we've entered an illusion." Only then did the others realize that they had already fallen into Fang Chen's illusion. Don't panic. He needs to use a lot of energy to maintain the illusion. Let's attack the illusion together. Once we break the illusion, we'll be able to kill him, the leading absolute Saint Realm martial artist said. However, what they didn't know was that there was a powerful array outside the illusion. The array and the illusion overlapped, and the few absolute Saint Realm martial artists were trapped in the illusion and couldn't walk out. Fang Chen sneered and charged into the illusion to attack the few of them. "You're the one." He chose the weakest absolute Saint Realm martial artist. With a shake of his wrist, the special attribute of the star-concealing sword instantly spread out. Pestering and the power of the 10,000 sword territory, the dual power acted on this absolute Saint Realm martial artist. His body was instantly imprisoned. Plus, this was an illusion, so he couldn't fight back at all. Poochie. When he broke free, the star-hidden sword had already pierced his chest. His eyes widened as he looked at Fang Chen in disbelief. I can't accept this. Unfortunately, his life was over. So what if he couldn't accept it? In the next moment, after a few waves of attacks, only the leading absolute Saint Realm martial artist was left in the illusion. He was slightly stronger, but it would only take some time to kill him. Putong. Out of Fang Chen's expectations, this absolute Saint Realm martial artist actually knelt in front of Fang Chen. "Young hero, please spare my life." His body trembled as he begged with a hoarse voice, "I'm willing to be your servant forever. I only beg you to let me go." Fang Chen had originally planned to kill him directly, but after thinking about it, it didn't seem right for him to be alone in Kanglan Castle. He would need someone to run errands for him. Swear a martial arts oath. Even absolute Saint Realm martial artists would be bound by a martial arts oath. If they went against it, they would be punished by the heavens. I, Zanjo, swear a martial arts oath to follow my master forever. If I go against it, I will be punished by the heavens. A weak power entered Fang Chen's head. At that moment, Fang Chen and Zanjo had a connection. Seeing this, Fang Chen nodded lightly. Outside the illusory realm, Jin Longyang's pitch-black eyes stared straight ahead. I must kill him, Jin Longyang thought. Jin Longyang thought to himself, with the strength of Zonju and the others, dealing with a heaven-opening cultivator would be a piece of cake if they worked together. Jin Longyang let out a breath. He felt that he had been scared silly, which was why he was so nervous. Voila! At that moment, the illusion collapsed. Jin Longyang's heart was filled with excitement. Brat, you dare to go against me? Let's see how you're going to survive. Jin Longyang was filled with joy. After seeing Zanjo, he asked excitedly, Zanjo, is that brat dead? Do you want me to die so badly? Suddenly, a voice came from behind Zanjo. Fang Chen walked out with a smile and looked at Jin Longyang. The latter's expression changed as he retreated. Zanjo, kill him quickly. Jin Longyang was a little scared and shouted. However, Zanjo was unmoved. Zanjo, what are you doing? Jin Longyang asked angrily. Zanjo had a complicated expression on his face. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything in the end. At that moment, no matter how stupid Jin Longyang was, he finally knew that Zanjo had betrayed him. Zanjo, how dare you betray the Jin family? Jin Longyang roared with a ferocious expression. If it weren't for the Jin family, would you have your current achievements? The Jin family treated you well, but you betrayed them. You will suffer the cruelest punishment of the Jin family. Jin Longyang pointed at Zanjo and said coldly. Have you said enough? Fang Chen interrupted Jin Longyang. Jin Longyang sat on the ground, his face filled with despair. At this point, unless a miracle happened, he would die without a doubt. After a slight struggle, Zanjo's heart calmed down. What was betrayal? As long as he could survive, there was a chance. Fang Chen walked towards Jin Longyang step by step. The tip of the hidden star sword lifted the latter's chin. At this moment, Jin Longyang was in a sorry state. There was no luster on his face, and his eyes were unfocused as if he was about to die. You really want to kill me? Fang Chen said. Jin Longyang was silent. Fang Chen continued, do you remember what Bai Wen said? Jin Longyang was still silent. Bai Wen didn't kill you back then because he disdained to do so. I didn't expect that you didn't repent and wanted to kill me instead. If I let someone like you go, it would be tantamount to letting a tiger return to the mountain. You might stab me in the back one day. Hearing Fang Chen's words, Jin Longyang already knew his fate. He opened his eyes and stared at Fang Chen. I, Jin Longyang, have never been humiliated like this in my life. The first time was by that damn guy. He actually asked me to call him Grandpa. He didn't even look at himself. The second time is you. Jin Longyang said in a deep voice, if there is an afterlife, I, Jin Longyang, swear that I will kill my enemy with my own hands. Speaking of this, Jin Longyang seemed to be relieved, and a wild smile appeared on his face. After today, there will be no place for you in Kanglan Castle or even the entire Kanglan district. He was threatening Fang Chen. Are you threatening me? Fang Chen asked. I have already sent a message to my brother, asking him to avenge me. You and that guy will die. The closer he was to death, the calmer Jin Longyang was. Seeing this, Fang Chen said, unfortunately, you won't have the chance to see that scene. Chapter 2331. Just as Fang Chen was about to kill Jin Longyang, the latter's energy suddenly surged. Self-destruct? Fang Chen frowned and left the place in a flash. Boom. The violent energy instantly exploded and Jin Longyang's body turned into nothingness. Jin Longyang's angry voice could be heard in the chaotic air. Even if I, Jin Longyang, die, I won't die in your hands. Buzz. Dust flew and the air became chaotic. Jin Longyang's voice echoed in all directions. At the same time, somewhere in Kanglan Castle, a man in embroidered clothes had just walked out of the ruins. Suddenly, his communication jade pendant rang. He opened it and heard his younger brother's voice. Brother, I'm going to die. Such a voice could be heard from the communication jade pendant. The man could tell that his younger brother's voice was dispirited, as if he had suffered a great blow. Zanjiu betrayed me. The guy who humiliated me killed all of my guards. I no longer have a way out. Jin Longyang's voice was filled with despair. I've never begged you for anything since I was young. This time, I'm begging you. After I die, I hope you can avenge me. Jin Longyang's voice could be heard again. I've already shown you the portraits of the two guys who humiliated me. If you see them, I hope you can kill them and avenge me. I can't accept this. There's a traitor among my guards. Zanjiu must die. Otherwise, I won't be able to rest in peace. Jin Longyang said, Brother, you don't have to come. There's not enough time. I don't want to die in humiliation. I'm going to self-destruct. Brother, don't. The voice in the communication jade pendant disappeared. The man in embroidered clothes shouted crazily with scarlet eyes. His speed soared to the extreme as he rushed towards his younger brother's location. Brother, don't do anything stupid. I'll save you. However, not long after he walked out, his body trembled. Then, he stopped in his tracks and held the communication jade pendant in his hand. A teardrop fell from his eyes. Brother. The man in embroidered clothes roared angrily at the sky. His heart was filled with anger. Rumble. It was as if the sky had sensed something. At this moment, it suddenly started to rain heavily. The man allowed the rain to hit his body. He closed his eyes and his mind was filled with the happy times he had spent with his younger brother. Little brother, I will avenge you. Zanjiu betrayed you. I will make him wish he was dead. After a long time, the man in embroidered clothes was completely drenched, and the heavy rain mercilessly hit his face. His heart had already turned cold. He swore that he would avenge his younger brother. I would rather give up Reverend Kanglan's legacy to avenge my younger brother. From today onwards, taking revenge for his brother would be his top priority. No matter who you are, no matter what ability you have, no matter what backing you have, my brother will not die in vain. Master, you've killed Jin Longyang. You must be careful of his elder brother, Jin Shaoyang, Zonju reminded. His heart was also greatly shaken. Who would have thought that a peak heaven opening cultivator would be able to kill a Saint Realm cultivator as easily as cutting vegetables, and even force the insufferably arrogant Jin Longyang to self-detonate? If this news were to spread, it would definitely shake the entire Kanglan district. After all, the Jin family was one of the 11 first-rate forces. They had a deep foundation and weren't something a heaven-opening cultivator could compare to. Jin Shaoyang? Fang Chen said. Jin Shaoyang is the leader of the Jin family's younger generation. His strength has reached an unprecedented level. He is ranked 75th on the Saint ranking, Zonju said. He knew a little about Jin Shaoyang and was worried that his master would encounter him. 75th. Fang Chen's eyes flickered. He grinned. Let's talk about it when he finds me. After saying that, Fang Chen looked at the sea of fire in the distance. His purpose here was to find the sword wood. Master, are you looking for the sword wood? Zonju asked. Hearing this, Fang Chen's eyes lit up. Right, how could he have forgotten about Zonju? He was Jin Longyang's guard. He should know something about the sword wood, right? What do you know? Tell me quickly, Fang Chen said eagerly. I don't know much about the swordwood, but I heard Jin Shaoyang say that the swordwood is in this area. It's not easy to find it, Zonju recalled. What else did Jin Shaoyang say? Fang Chen asked eagerly. After entering the Kanglan castle, Jin Shaoyang sent his younger brother to find the swordwood and said, Zonju said. The sea of fire is boundless. Walk on the waves. The sea of fire is boundless. Walk on the waves. Fang Chen muttered the meaning of these words. What does it mean? Fang Chen frowned and racked his brain. He even asked the artifact spirit, but the latter didn't know either. He just asked him to enter the sea of fire to try. Splash. With a leap, he jumped into the sea of fire. Buzz. The raging fire wrapped Fang Chen and he immediately felt a sense of oppression. What a powerful flame power. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. The flame power here was very strong. Even his myriad sword body couldn't withstand it. Hey, what's that? Suddenly, Fang Chen found a fiery red stone the size of a palm in the sea of fire. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the fiery red stone. Suddenly, a fiery aura drilled into his body. Rumble. The sea of fire seemed to have undergone some changes. What stone is this? Master, this is a flame crystal, Zonju said outside the sea of fire. Flame crystal? Hearing this, Fang Chen was excited. He had been looking for an energy crystal and now he finally found it. This flame crystal can barely be considered an energy crystal, right? It's a pity that such a small flame crystal has limited energy. It can't activate the long-distance teleportation formation. In any case, Fang Chen was still very satisfied. Master, you can use this flame crystal to keep the sea of fire, Zonju said. Fang Chen rolled his eyes and immediately tried. Keep. Suddenly, the raging sea of fire drilled into the flame crystal. The land that was originally filled with flames suddenly became calm. Fang Chen held the flame crystal and stared ahead with his eyes wide open. Could it be that the sword wood is in the flame crystal? Fang Chen was secretly delighted. If that was the case, it would be perfect. He shrouded the flame crystal with his divine sense and looked inside. After a long time, Fang Chen frowned. Inside the flame crystal, except for the unchanged sea of fire, he didn't find anything strange. However, just as he was about to put away the flame crystal, his body suddenly stiffened. The boundless sea of fire, walk on the waves. Holding the flame crystal, he could feel the surging flames. Weren't these flames the boundless sea of fire that Jin Shaoyang had mentioned? Thinking of this, Fang Chen tiptoed and jumped. He instantly came to the sky and looked down at the ground. He held the flame crystal in his hand. Suddenly, monstrous flames surged wildly. It directly wrapped the entire land. The raging fire was burning. Fang Chen's eyes became brighter and brighter. I see. He stepped on the sea of fire as if he was walking on the waves. Open. Every 3 steps, Fang Chen would change direction. In this way, Fang Chen walked for more than 100 steps and finally stopped. Then, he shouted in a low voice. A crack actually appeared in the sea of fire. A wooden stick that was 10 feet long slowly floated out of the sea of fire. I see. A smile appeared on Fang Chen's face. Now, he finally understood the meaning of the 8 words that Jin Shaoyang had said. The boundless sea of fire, walk on the waves, was actually a secret phrase. If it was explained in the words of earth, it would be the art of divination. Here, Fang Chen relied more on his understanding of formations to come up with a solution. According to the secret phrase of these 8 words, by walking, he opened a passage in the sea of fire and released the sword wood. It's really exquisite. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. The warrior who designed this mechanism was really thoughtful. Buzz. Fang Chen held the rotating sword wood in his hand. Is this the sword wood? Suddenly, a strong sword aura rushed to his face and resonated with the Shura sword chi in his body. Sword Dao Huai Treasure, Sword Wood. Chapter 2332. It was a Sword Dao Huai treasure, the sword wood. According to the ancient records, the sword wood was as thick as an arm, and the most common ones were 3 meters long. It liked hot temperatures and lived in a sea of fire for a long time. The sword wood contained a strong sword Dao aura. It was not only a Huai treasure for sword cultivators to comprehend sword Dao, but also an excellent material for refining sword Dao weapons. In history, there were many amazing sword Dao experts who used the sword wood as the main material to refine long swords with amazing attack power. However, the sword wood was very rare, and it was very difficult to see it. It was priceless in the outside world. Only those super powerful sect would have it. Fang Chen did not expect that he would get the sword wood so easily. After feeling the powerful sword Dao aura circulating inside the sword wood, Fang Chen's heart was beating. He was very satisfied with this. Congratulations, Master, for getting the sword wood. Zonju stepped forward and congratulated him. Fang Chen nodded gently, put away the sword wood, and then said, let's leave this place first. Jin Shaoyang must have known that his brother Jin Longyang had died. If he came here, it would be troublesome. Fang Chen left with Zonju. Half a day later. Jin Shaoyang came here angrily. He looked around and saw that there were only charred marks on the ground in front of him, which showed that there had been a sea of fire here. The sea of fire had disappeared, and so had the sword wood. Jin Shaoyang's heart was filled with anger. My brother. Jin Shaoyang clenched his fists, and his killing intent surged. He did not even leave the corpse behind and destroyed the evidence. How ruthless. No matter what, I will find you and kill you. Fang Chen naturally did not know that Jin Shaoyang had gone to the Sea of Fire to look for him. On an inconspicuous mountain peak among the continuous peaks, Fang Chen was sitting on a bluestone, grinning. It's a pity that my refining skills are too poor. Otherwise, I can refine the sword wood into the hidden star sword now. The hidden star sword was a middle-grade heaven-splitting weapon. If it could be integrated with the sword wood, it would definitely be upgraded to a high-grade heaven-splitting weapon, or even a supreme-grade weapon. It was a pity that Fang Chen was only at the sky level. Master, you can first comprehend the sword Dao aura within the sword wood. After you leave Kanglan Castle, you can find a master blacksmith and make your plans, Zonju said. Fang Chen nodded and said, help me guard the area. Then, he began to comprehend the sword principle aura in the sword wood. The aura of sword wei in the wood of sword was the aura of wood. As for Fang Chen's Azura sword Dao, it was a killing aura. There was no connection between the two. However, Fang Chen used his great potential in swordsmanship to constantly fuse the two together. The wood sword principle aura could provide him with an endless supply of sword principle power, and it could even quickly heal his internal injuries. After meditating for an hour, Fang Chen opened his eyes. I've finished absorbing the wood element energy. Fang Chen grinned and immediately stood up to put away the sword wood. He had gained a lot this time. Not only did he obtain the sword wood, but he also obtained the crystal of flame. For Fang Chen, it was killing two birds with one stone. However, at this moment, the jade communication pendant suddenly vibrated. Bai Wen. He opened the jade communication pendant and a voice came intermittently. Brother. Fang. On the other end of the jade communication pendant, Bai Wen's voice was very soft. If one did not listen carefully, they would not have heard it at all. Brother Bai, what's wrong? Fang Chen's expression changed slightly, and he asked hurriedly. I'm trapped in. Where are you trapped? Fang Chen asked hurriedly, but no matter how he asked, Bai Wen did not answer. At this moment, Fang Chen became more and more anxious. He knew that Bai Wen must be in danger. Otherwise, he would not have transmitted a message to him. Damn it, didn't you say that you're an expert on the saint list? Why are you in trouble? You must suffocate to death. Fang Chen prayed inwardly. At this moment, an image appeared on the jade communication pendant. This image was the place where Bai Wen was trapped. Let's go. Without even thinking about it, he took Zonju and left this place. The real place in the image is relatively dry. It should be west of Fenglan Castle. As he moved, he quickly analyzed. Soon, Fang Chen roughly determined the location. He then activated the space-time collapse technique to the extreme. His body turned into a ray of light and moved quickly. Master, wait for me. Zonju shouted loudly, his face full of shock. He felt that his master was unfathomable. A heaven-opening realm martial artist's speed surpassed that of an absolute saint. It was unbelievable. In front of a small building in Fenglan Castle, Bai Wen was in a sorry state. His clothes were torn and tattered. There were countless skeletons in the prison. These skeletons seemed to have a mind of their own and were attacking him together. Every day, they would torture him until he was about to fall apart before they stopped. A bunch of damned bastards. Looking at the skeletons sitting opposite him, Bai Wen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As time passed, he found that his strength was constantly improving. Although the improvement was limited, at least it was improving. This discovery caused him to be both surprised and delighted. However, when he thought about the inhumane torture he had to endure every day, he had the urge to leave this place. He had tried countless times, but he couldn't open the prison at all. I wonder if Brother Fang can receive the message. All signals were cut off in the prison. Even messages couldn't be sent. However, Bai Wen wasn't an ordinary person. He cleverly used the loopholes in the prison and sent the message out with difficulty. How miserable. I've just entered Fenglan Castle and I'm already locked up in a prison. Bai Wen muttered to himself, his face full of helplessness. He wanted to show off his skills. Who would have thought that he would be locked up in such a broken place? If he kept being locked up like this, he would definitely go crazy. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. This place was very remote. Ever since Bai Wen arrived, he hadn't seen a single person. However, someone had actually appeared here today. Tan Ifeng. Bai Wen was a little surprised. Why would Tan Ifeng be here? The person who had arrived was none other than Straight Sword Tan Ifeng. He carried a huge sword on his back, and his expression was calm as he surveyed his surroundings. Someone's here? Tan Ifeng saw Bai Wen in the prison. His eyes lit up and he quickly walked over. Who are you? Tan Ifeng asked, what did you find here? Faced with Tan Ifeng's continuous questioning, Bai Wen remained silent. After a long time, he raised his head and said, Tan Ifeng, I accidentally broke into this place and was trapped in the prison. If you save me, you will be greatly rewarded. Hearing this, Tan Ifeng sneered, his face full of disdain. Who do you think you are? Do you think you have the right to ask me, Tan Ifeng, to save you? Tan Ifeng sneered and said, tell me everything you know here. If I, Tan Ifeng, am in a good mood, I may spare your life. Hearing this, Bai Wen's face darkened, and a violent aura surged around him. The next moment, his face squirmed as if he had changed into a different person. Immediately, he raised his head and stared straight at Tan Ifeng. Seeing Bai Wen, Tan Ifeng couldn't help but take a few steps back. His eyes widened, and he cried out, you are Bai Tianshu? The 53rd strongest on the saint rankings, Bai Tianshu. Tan Ifeng, I can pretend I didn't hear what you said earlier. I'm trapped here now. If you save me, I'll say the same thing again. I'll definitely reward you greatly, Bai Wen said in a deep voice. Tan Ifeng's expression kept changing as he pondered in his heart. At this moment, the skeletons in the prison suddenly surrounded Bai Wen. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was heard, followed by a squeal from Bai Wen's mouth. Damn it! Bai Wen cursed in his heart, but he had to face the reality. These damned fellows were trampling on him again. Tan Ifeng, who was originally a little afraid of Bai Tianshu, was stunned for a moment. Then, a smile appeared on his face. I was wondering what was going on. I see. Tan Ifeng sneered as he looked at Bai Tianshu, who was tortured beyond recognition by the skeletons. So what if you are the 53rd strongest on the saint rankings? You are still being tortured like a dog, Tan Ifeng said. You want to threaten me, Tan Ifeng? Dream on. Tan Ifeng's eyes flickered. This prison was extraordinary. Bai Tianshu was in it, trying to find a way to get some secrets from him. Bang! After a while, Bai Tianshu's body fell heavily to the ground like a dead dog.